What's up, y'all? Sorry for the delay. It is 9:08 p.m. EST USA time and 3:09 a.m. Central European time. And let's get this on the road. I'm sure some of y'all are going to be coming in. And matter of fact, before I let this little ditty play, uh, and that is the FBI informant interview, Othello, that was done on like it is. What is it? What's the show? I'm sorry. Hold on for a second. Let me just make sure I get it correct here. Uh, yeah, Darthard Perry, right? Isn't it like it is? Hold on. I'm sorry, man. This is terrible. 2 seconds. It was originally done on like it is. Let me see something. Dathard Perry. I also got his record, some information about him. 2 seconds. Right, like it is correct, and that's Gil Noble's show. He produced, and that's out of the '70s. The show, and Dathard Perry, he's actually, where was he? I think he was born in California. Oh no, he's born in the Midwest. Let me just pull up his information real quick. Pull that up before we get started here. I may as well go by his record real quick. Let's see here. Boom. FBI record. Right. Darthard Perry. Let's see here. Right. Kansas City. Exactly. I think y'all can see that here. Kansas City. Um, yeah, and then later, attended school, did all this stuff. But then the thing about it is that he ended up becoming an FBI informant, pretty much for the purpose of taking down the Black Panther Party and maybe collecting any other information on organizations in that region. And as you know, the Black Panther Party is from Oakland, California. Yeah, and so at that time, the FBI was taking out all Black organizations, all Black leadership that was in any part of the country that wanted to improve the lives of many African Americans, Black Americans, whatever you want to call yourself, if you can figure that out. I I have, and I say use any of them. I don't care. It doesn't matter. Um, I think it's self evident. Um, but as you know, there's a lot of people that fell prey. A lot of organizations, famous leaders that fell prey in one way or the other to tampering, and murder, things like that. You know, and it's just terrible. It goes on and on and on. And yeah, I wish it was. I wish it was not the case, but it is the case, and it's nothing that could be done about it today, but to preserve the memory of these uh, horrific acts, right? And you know, and the leaders, some of the work that the leaders tried to do, the real work that they tried to do, and that the Cohen's Hell Pro tried to, which is the FBI program, tried to stop. Now, yeah, it's sad. Even right now, to be honest with you, when I think about this, and it it surprises me. It surprises me. Right now, when I think about it, it still saddens me. It still saddens me, because none of these, no, there was never any justice. There was no justice, and if you want to look at COINTELPRO, it was just basically designed to decimate. Uh, it's like a form of genocide, uh, chopping off to any type of social movements that have anything to do with empowerment of Black Americans, African Americans, Afro Americans, whatever you want to call it. Um, yeah, let me see here. 2 seconds, y'all. Yeah, yeah. So, in any case, we know about many of the leaders. People think that were killed by the FBI. Martin Luther King is one, and these people obviously they don't get murdered if they weren't doing something that the FBI thought was, in their words, thought to what take down the American government. Those are the FBI words, not mine. Those are the FBI's own words. That's what COINTELPRO was established to do, and even the Black Panther Party. This is what they claimed these people's goals were, right? Connection to communists, take down the United States government. That was their easy way to, or that was the way to be able to outright murder these people. And it's really sad, but it's real talk. It really did exist. But let me see here. So there was Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Fred Hampton. And Fred Hampton's story is interesting because it takes place in California, right? Let's see here. No, my fault. In Chicago. I'm sorry, but they had the FBI there too. Um, in this case, Othello operated in Cali, so his location is a little bit different. But the Black Panther Party headquarters, I believe, or they were founded in Cali, so in Oakland, California, and this is where he mainly operated. Yeah, so that's the home of Bobby Seale, or this is where Bobby Seale, Huey P. Newton met in Oakland. I guess they were in school, right? Pretty much. Um, so they went out. They went on to build chapters in different cities: New York, Chicago, Los Angeles, Seattle, Philadelphia. And other cities, smaller. DC is a small city, but they had a Black Panther Party uh, operation there too, and other movements, by the way. Not only the Black Panther Party, but yeah, but we'll get into that on a different day. So let's go back to this brother Othello, right, and take a look at him. His real name is Darthard Perry. So let's take a look at him, and then we're going to get into this interview uh, by Gil on Like It Is. Yeah, and by the way, I just found out there's a movie. He's got a life story, and I never seen the movie about Darthard Perry. That's pretty interesting. So those of y'all that want to check in on that and find out where you can see it, that's that's interesting. Whoa, let me see something here. Did I just see this? Okay, sorry about that. It's somewhere. People must use this name to get hits, but in any case, I just wanted to check that out. 2 seconds here. Wiki. I just want to see if they got anything on Dathard Perry here on Wiki. Yeah, okay. They have a little bit about him on Wiki, not too much, but they talk about his relationship with the Watts Writers Workshop. And right, so he was active in Watts, that's South Los Angeles, and how he ended up burning it down. And a lot of young vocal activists, writer activists, activists that were involved in poetry or just creative writing, and writers for the cause, if you will, right? Because you need writers. A lot of people think that there's not different components to revolution, right? But it is. I mean, before the United States or any country goes in and drops some bombs or begins a physical war, they already start the creative writing information war. You see what I mean? And that can be very compelling and take the enemy off guard as well, or it can prep your troops, prep the military, prep the the focus group that you want to wage revolution. So that's what these writers were out to do. And yeah, and so their headquarters got burnt the hell down. So, but in any case, let me see. Can y'all see this? Let me see if I can blow this up a little more. Yeah, this is the FBI's page. So let me drop the link for y'all. Y'all can check this out yourselves. Also, or at least you had the chance. Yeah, sorry, Andrea and Donnie. Yeah, I had to reschedule the live. I was a little under the weather. You could probably hear that. So I've just been home resting up, cleaning up, and that's it today. Nothing else. And so I've been getting a whole lot of sleep. And but basically I needed it. Um, Let me see, to get this sickness, this illness out of me. Must be something like a cold or a 48-hour. It's not corona though. But let me see here. Dathard. I'm gonna drop the link to that. Darthard Perry. No, Othello. I'll play. FBI informant. Here we go. FBI informant. Othello. And I don't know why they spell his name the way they do one L. Some people spell it with two L's. But here we go. I'm not sure. I keep seeing it with two different ways. There you go. So people that have never been able to, don't know about Dathard Perry, or never really seen him mentioned by the FBI, if they want to know if he's official. And well, yeah, the dude's official here. Here's the FBI themselves. So they maintain it themselves. So let's see here. United States citizen by virtue of birth, education, National Personal Record Center, NPR, NPRC, St. Louis, Missouri, 7/13. What is that, July? Yeah, that's July 13th, 1970. Okay, that's what I thought. Let me see here. 2 seconds. July 1970. All right, so let me see here. It says source advised that Perry attended, yeah, another source advised that Perry attended Linwood Elementary School in Kansas City. Can y'all let me know if the audio is okay too while I'm reading this off? Maybe I can adjust it. Let me see here. Yeah. So let me see. Perry also attended Lincoln High School in Kansas City, Missouri from September 1962 to October 1966. Perry did not graduate from Lincoln High School. Okay. Like a lot of men. Hey, Andrea, how you doing? Like a lot of people, that happens, Oh, the sound is good. Okay, thank you. Yeah. So he did not graduate, I guess, but sometimes that don't make a difference. It just matters what you end up doing. Do something, Some people go to trade school without high school diploma somehow. That can happen too. I don't know what the deal is, but sometimes I think back in this time, I think it might be possible that people still had some trade schools in high school, so they may have gotten the ability to get a job even without it. So let me see here. It says Floyd Perry, that's his father, of a subject advised on June. Okay, Perry was attending Sacramento Junior High College. Okay. Um, Marital status. Source advised that Perry was not married as of this. Okay. Source advised that Perry was not married of this. Okay. Checks with the Los Angeles Police and the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Office on January 26, 1971, failed to reveal any criminal record with regard to Perry. Okay, so he didn't have a criminal record when the FBI had interest in him. Okay, military background. Source advised that Perry enlisted in the okay, so that's what he dropped out of high school and enlisted in the military, I guess. Source advised that's it. Source said this is the same date, all this information, by the way, if you look at the dates. Well, not all the information, but yeah. The source advised that Perry enlisted in the United States Army on November 18th, 1966 at Kansas City, Missouri for a period of 3 years. Perry was discharged. Let me make this a little bigger for people too. Perry was discharged under honorable conditions on March 17, 1969. Okay. Perry had 3 summary court marital and courts. Oh, 3 summary court martials. Damn. Three. Perry had 3 summary court martials. I didn't know they spelled it that way. Courts martial. Okay. And was punished on 8 separate occasions under provision of Article 15. Perry received training as a cook while in the military service. Okay. Employment. Source advised that Perry was unemployed by Butler Shoe Store. Or employed. Damn, what's wrong with me, y'all? I'm sorry. Source advised that Perry was employed by Butler Shoe Store, 3224, Trouse, Kansas City, Missouri, from September 1960. Okay, so he got out and worked at a shoe store. I mean, this is life, y'all. But he didn't have a high school diploma, and he was a cook in the military. So what can you do, I guess? But I'm surprised he didn't get any other training sometimes. But that's also an issue, right? Isn't that also an issue with racism? I mean, you could join the military, get a check, but what are your opportunities to improve yourself? And you're going to work in the kitchen, buddy. And you're going to be left with the skills to work in a shoe store. No diss, but shoe stores, last time I heard, don't pay a lot. A source advised that there is no indication of employment for Perry from July 1st, 1969 to October 1st, 1970, while in California. Residence. Source advised that Perry resided at 2909 Euclid, Kansas City, Missouri, prior to the entrance in the Army and Armed Forces. Source further advised that upon discharge from the United States Army in March of 1969, Perry resided at 4606 West Adams Street, Los Angeles, California. Okay, so now 69, end of 69, he's in Los Angeles. Euclid, 2909 Euclid Street. Okay. On January 26, 1971, so here we go. A review of the traffic records of the Los Angeles Police Department reflected that Perry gave 3635 33rd Street, Sacramento, California, as his residence when he was issued a citation in November 3rd, 1970. Investigation by the Sacramento Division of the FBI reflected that 3635 33rd Sacramento is a park in South Sacramento. Damn, so was he living in a park at that time? Source advised that Perry resides at 1030 Yale Street, Sacramento, California, but that he is not presently a student at the Sacramento, City College. Okay, status of health. Perry's health is unknown, but from available information, Perry seems to be in good physical condition, and there's no indication that he has been ill or receiving any medication. Here we go. Connection with Black nationalist groups. Membership. Source advised that Darthard Perry made application to become, this is a misspell, made an application to become, or is that proper English to say that? Made application to become a member of the BPP, Black Panther Party, prior to December 1969. Okay, so he'd been a member. Activity. That was in 1969. Okay, so he'd been a member already since the end of 69, December 29th. All right. Act, and I guess you do that because you can get some food, right? Breakfast. You can get education, right? What's up, Donnie? I mean, that's what the Black Panther Party was doing and spreading more information, finding out ways to help more people, finding out what the problems were within the community. So, yeah, let me see here. Let's go on. 19, okay. March 12th, 1970. Source who is familiar with the activities of the Black Panther Party in the Los Angeles area advised that Perry is not familiar as a member of the Black Panther Party in Los Angeles. Perry is not familiar. Okay, so people didn't know him to be. Is that what that means? People didn't know him to be a member? Okay, 1970, June 9th. Source who is familiar with Black Panther Party activities. Damn, I mean, look at this. So there was several other people already inside, just in the LA office. Source source who was familiar with the Black Panther Party activities in the Kansas City, Missouri area advised that Perry was unknown to him as a member of the Black Panther Party or any other extremist group in the Kansas City area. I mean, hmm. Sources, okay, June 11th again. Sources, is this right here? What are these different sources? What is this? It's interesting. Sources who are familiar, I think it may be. Sources who are familiar with activities of the Black Panther Party in the Kansas City area advised that they were unable to provide any information which would indicate that Perry is a member of the Black Panther Party in Kansas City. Description. The following is a composite description of Perry. Name: Darthard Maurice Edward Perry. Race: Negro. Sex: male. Date of birth: September 4th, 1949. Place of birth: Kansas City. Damn, so he would be just a little bit younger than my pops. Place of birth: Kansas City. I wonder if he's still alive. No, he's not. He's not. He's dead. He died. Um, Matter of fact, let me go look into that though. Yeah, place of birth: Kansas City. Right, height 6'1". Okay, damn, he's my height. Uh, weight 231. Okay. Um, Hair black, eyes brown. And I even got his social security number out here. United States Army. Yeah. Okay. So we already went through that. Let's see here. There's a lot of records here on him. Let me see. How many pages is this? Uh, Page 27. Let me go down. See how many more pages there are. Oh, okay. So there's not that many pages. Yeah, we are. Oh no, there are. There are many pages. All right. Extremist matters. All sources. All right. Well, in any case, we can go back to this. I'm gonna see who comes up tonight. And wants to hit the panel and talk about Darthard Perry and some of the informants and tactics of the FBI in that time. So let's get rolling to hey, MF Dread son, what's up, bro? Um let's move on. And I've been wanting to do a reaction to Darthard Perry's interview on Like It Is for a minute. I just didn't have the chance. So I just uploaded the video before. And yeah, so today is the chance. I like to do these kind of things when there's nothing really, I mean, there's nothing else that I want to discuss right now that's in the news, because I know I'm going to be doing some national news again tomorrow. So yeah, so I thought this would be a good way to kind of spend some time and reflect on some things, to just go back in history a little bit. But let's see here, and to also contemplate. I mean, the tactics. Look at these people. This is so important to look at the tactics here, because do these, I mean, how do you know who is a FBI informant? Um, how would one move? What would one move like um, today in these times? Yeah, and yeah. So, are there black FBI informants? I mean, we just talking about informants, so you know the answer got to be yes, because you're not even talking about agents. You're just talking about informants. If there's agents today, if there's if there's agents today, then you know for a fact there's informants everywhere. Oh my God! All right, so let's see here. Let's. Oh my God! I'm sorry, I'm laughing, but it's just the insidiousness of it. I mean, the answer just have to be yes. Um, yeah. Here's the original video I uploaded. Let me see here. Othello, Othello, Darthard Perry. Let me see here. Darthard. That's an interesting name too. What y'all think about that name, Darthard Perry? Where does that name come from? Um, you don't even hear names like that today. But it's kind of a smooth name, I guess you could say. Smooth African American or European name, whichever one you want to call it. Black American name. Okay, y'all can see the original video here too, uninterrupted. And so now I'm gonna start the uh the video, and I'll be stopping in it and making some commentary. Oh, as a matter of fact, let me drop the link too for anybody that want to also make a little bit of commentary. You can hop up, and I can also stop the video when you see something interesting. All right, so let's go.
Welcome to Like It Is. In an earlier program that we ran as a special three-part series entitled A Decade of Struggle, we included an interview with a man who worked as an informer for the Federal Bureau of Investigation. We didn't show all of that interview, however, because of time limitations. We do feel, nonetheless, that we should air as much as possible of that interview because of the gravity of the information it contains. This edition of Like It Is will be devoted solely to that end. The name of the informant that we interviewed is Darthard Perry, also known as Ed Riggs, also known as Bill Perry, also known as Othello. He worked for the FBI as an informer who infiltrated various black organizations during the 1960s. Ours is the only full-face on-camera interview that he has conducted thus far. Now, we interviewed him on two separate occasions. So, for purposes of continuity, we've edited this piece, going from one interview to another according to subject areas. We began with his account of how he was recruited by the FBI.
I was a student at Sacramento City College and Sacramento State College. I was stopped in the parking lot one day by a special agent by the name of Frank. He told me a little bit about that he knew that I had worked in.
You see how they blank that
military intel. I was stopped in the parking lot one day by a special agent by the name of Frank.
Sound like you said Brandon.
He told me a little bit about that he knew that I had worked in military intelligence and how would I like to work for him. And also that I knew.
Here's the thing. He just said military intelligence, but in the FBI thing, it doesn't say military intelligence. Okay, I'm going to go back to that. But it said he worked in the kitchen in the military. So that's what it said. Okay, mate. All right, we're going to review that, see what the FBI records say again. Okay, but they clearly said he was discharged in 71 and that he worked in the kitchen. So, but he says military intelligence, but
knew certain people in the so-called black and told me a little bit about that he knew that I had worked in military intelligence and how would I like to work for him. And also that I knew certain people in the so-called black radical fringe that they would be very interested in finding different information out about. I told him that my term for military intelligence had been very short-lived, that I was not interested in them, and I wasn't interested in him either.
By now, this must have been 1968.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
The following month, I was going to school on a federal grant and also a VA loan check. My check didn't come down, either one. I had bought a oscilloscope for a television communications class that I was taking from a person that I didn't even know. He just had the oscilloscope for sale, and it was very cheap, so I bought it. Since my checks hadn't came down, being a student, and I was taking like close to, I think, about 23 units, something like that. It was a very heavy course load. I couldn't work and go to school at the same time. So I decided I would take the oscilloscope down to the pawn shop, pawn it, and use that money until my checks came. I went down, I pawned the oscilloscope. As I came out, I got busted. Possession of stolen property. Seems that someone had broken into Sacramento City College and had stolen the oscilloscope along with quite a few other things.
So what happened?
Well, I was taken to court due to a friend of mine, attorney in Sacramento that I had been working for. He intervened for me, and it was broken down to misdemeanor possession of stolen property, which I was given 3 years summary probation for. Let me clarify this. Summary probation means that all you have to do is you write a letter into the probation officer every month, and you say, well, I've been a good boy this month. Bye, you know. I got an offer for a scholarship at Los Angeles City College, which I took advantage of, and I started going to Los Angeles City College and UCLA in Los Angeles. Coming out of LACC from the school one day, I was met again by the same special agent who said that he wanted to talk to me, and the offer was still good about me working for him. Again, I told him no, I was not interested. Then told me that I should be interested because it could help me with a problem that I had. And I told him I didn't have any problems that I knew.
What do y'all think about his body language, his eyes? Like, just what y'all think about that? I mean, I'm not saying there's anything funny. It's obvious he smokes cigarettes because his lips are, he's smoking right in front of folks, but you could tell he got smoker cigarettes too. Cigarette lips, basically, smoker lips. But his eyes, what y'all think about that? Yo, what's up? What's up, Albert? All right, yo, Albert Martinez. Yeah, okay. Alpo. Yeah, okay, man. Anyway, man, y'all better get why you doing this, man? Why y'all doing this, man? Let the man rest. But why you doing this? Why you doing this, man? Anyway, yeah. Any case, yeah. Let me see here. It looks his eyes, Donnie. I just wondered: is he on medication? Is he? It's you got to be nervous now to do this interview, to be out in the FBI. So it's possible he took something to help calm his nerves. You know what I'm saying? So let's keep going.
He said, "Oh yes, you remember the possession of stolen?" I said, "Yeah, well that's summary probation, man. I just write a letter in every month." He said, "Oh no, that's not summary probation. It turned out it's a felony probation for 3 years, which means you have to report in every week."
to bring it down to a nutshell, what happened?
What happened was that as far
Oh, Martinez. Yeah, no, he's not still around. He passed away. He passed away. That's a good question though. Yeah, he's dead. I think he's buried in a government, military, because he was a cook. So he's in one of these national memorial uh cemeteries. Actually, he got a stone and everything. So yeah. So just to let you know, yeah, good question though.
far as they were concerned, it was felony probation now. And if when you jump probation, that means they can put you in for the rest of the term of the probation, which came to about 2 years and 10 months.
And so
Now check this out. So already we get to hear that just a petty crime. He had a petty crime. I mean, I'm not trying to reduce the type of crime it is, but when you grow up in war zones, right, where worse things can happen and worse things may happen every day, petty crime ain't shit. And most people don't even know what something might be a crime. And if they find out because they get a ticket, they might be like, man, go to hell with this ticket and move on with their life. But in this case, they try to slap him with a felony. It's not a misdemeanor; it's a felony. They're gonna do 2 years. Think about that. What would your life? What would you do today if you got stopped and all of a sudden you had to be taken away from your family or your thing, the thing you doing for 2 years? What would you do? That's all I'm saying. What would you do?
so they threatened you with that.
Yes, they did.
Why didn't you stand up to that?
I called the probation office in Sacramento first. They told me a warrant was out for my arrest and that I was going to jail.
Did you have any particular fear of jail?
Yes. Yeah, I don't like to be shut in. I have a very, very dark fear of being shut up anywhere.
How would they have known this?
The only way they could have known that is from my psychological profile when I went into military intelligence, which they take on all people that work in military intelligence.
So you bent and you decided to go to work for them.
Yes.
How would you say that most of those who are doing the same thing that you did have gotten into that behavior? The same way you did, they were coerced?
Course, pressure. Some can take it for. I think some might do it for the pay, for the feeling of power. It's a natural syndrome for a powerless person, giving a pedestal where he can direct, or he can say, well, this man goes to jail, or this man stays.
Yo, Tar, don't sleep. Yeah, it's good you say that. I don't think I think people should organize anyway, but when you organize, the first thing you got to know if you're like a center organizer is that you got to know you're going to be targeted. Now there could be this guy's an informant, right? So he's not an agent, but he's an informant, and people can join just to inform the government. And the reality of it is that these people may not do even go to the length of what this man can do, but still the information that they leak can cause a lot of problems. Just whatever tactical information, whether you don't know, they could be doing anything. An informant can get just information alone can hinder any type of progress, especially if the FBI is there to stop you. Obviously, just any information is good. Shit, they don't even have to do what this man did. This man did even more than just give information. Watch.
Free. They get a feeling of security from it.
For the FBI, did you get an indoctrination or did you just start cold?
No, I got an indoctrination. It started off with camera surveillance, camera surveillance, electronic techniques of surveillance.
You know what? Maybe this is maybe informant. Maybe they call him informant, but in my view, once you start getting certain tactical training, then you basically an agent. So I agree. Like now that I hear this, maybe, and I don't know why I didn't remember this, but they call him an informant. In Gill's interview, he's called an informant. Technically, he's called an informant by the FBI, but as you can hear, he's about to tell you his training, as an informant. So yeah.
Shadowing. It started off with camera surveillance. Excuse me, camera surveillance, electronic techniques of surveillance, shadowing, the obtaining of.
Hold on, 7:35. Let me see something. Yeah, bro. I mean, look at this. It's there. That's the FBI seal. It's something to do with the FBI. They got the FBI in there. I don't know if this is their. Wait a second. Hold on for a second, man. Let me just review something here. 2 seconds. I'm gonna look that up. I don't know if Gil made a play on that design wise. Yeah, I'm not sure if he did that, but in either case, it don't matter. So I mean, to me, it doesn't matter because just all the U.S. government stuff is stolen from Egypt. You know what I'm saying? Like, so but this just another spin on it. You know what I'm saying? Let's play it. Let me play it. Oh, what you say, Tom? Son had an informant on his channel that took down the cult lead. Oh, really? Oh, really? Let me see it. Go ahead. Okay, yeah, shit. You gotta let me know more about this. They took down the. Now, don't get me wrong, man. I mean, if you're doing harmful crap to people, I don't have no love for you. But then again, you know, the question remains: you're not talking about just the FBI now. FBI is basically secret operations or high level police operations, and different countries have them everywhere. And over here where I'm at, they're called PET. And you know, you don't know. I mean, I don't like to think of them as doing things bad on purpose or even doing things bad. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes they make mistakes too. Sometimes maybe a person might be harmed because of those mistakes. But we don't have a whole lot of groups like this. But I'm sure, bro, that they are. Anytime you organize, if it's a religious group, if it's a activist group, human rights activist group, civil society, I am very sure there's informants in all of them. Just that join as members and just sit around and collect information. I'm definitely sure of that. I don't know to what level, but I'm sure they use them for sure, man. So, they use them for sure. So let me go back to this one. Where was we at? We was at 7:35. Here we go.
The obtaining of let's say letters, empty envelopes, instructions on how to go to somebody's garbage containers and pick out useful items. You'd be surprised at the things that they take out of a garbage can, by the way. I mean, anywhere from the leftover food from breakfast, just to know what this guy used for breakfast, When they become interested in a person or a group of people, they try to find out as much as they possibly can psychologically. And
check this out. You might even have agents or informants to to the government that are high level members of an organization. And let's say, for example, let's say in this case, let's say you're the Black Panther Party, and let's say you want to unite with other organizations across the country, but you find out or you don't know because your your goal. What's the word I'm looking for in English? one of your goals is to unite with other organizations. You don't know who these people are in these other organizations. You don't know if one high level member of another organization that you're just reaching out to is an informant. You don't know that. And that will be the quickest way to get information, or it could be, or, you just don't know, man. So it's a game here, but.
And academically and social wise, who do they run with? Do they go to certain nightclubs? Does this one have a sex hang up? Is the man impudent? Anything that can be used later on.
How long was this indoctrination process?
It lasts anywhere from 2 to 3 weeks.
Mm-hmm. What is the most sophisticated equipment that you use as far as eavesdropping is concerned?
The video setup, and also I work with the new, I think it's called parabolic reflectors for sound pickup.
Mm-hmm.
Very interesting piece of equipment.
How is that used?
Okay, it reminds you of a disc. Have you ever seen those radioscopes?
Yeah.
You know how they're a disc and then there is a
cone behind it.
Cone in the center, right?
Yeah.
Okay, these parabolic reflectors were just like that, except a smaller version, and you would point it in the direction of where you wanted to pick up the sound from.
And how far away can it pick up sound?
Oh, I think it was anywhere from the ones I use from 200 to 500 yards.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Distinct?
Distinct, right?
200 to 500 yards, parabolic audio recording. Check that out. Let's go back.
Distinct. But point it in the direction. There's a
cone behind it.
Cone in the center, right?
Yeah.
Okay, these parabolic reflectors were just like that, except a smaller version, and you would point it in the direction of where you wanted to pick up the sound from.
And how far away can it pick up sound?
Oh, I think it was anywhere from the ones I use from 200 to 500 yards.
What?
Oh, yeah.
Distinct?
Distinct, very distinct. You could be in a building, like say we're here right now, okay? Okay, not the next building, but the building behind. Let's say it's a little bit taller. Okay, I could point that parabolic reflector from there to this window, and I could pick up. That's how good it was.
Through the window?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. The window didn't have to be open. The window didn't have to be open at all.
How does one go about tailing a person? Describe that. Is there a particular art? You say you have to be taught that.
Well, there is a particular art to it, but okay. Let me state. Number one, the easiest way is to get close to the person so you can run with it. That's the best way. Okay.
Yeah, that's a interesting move. I read the book actually, Donnie. I don't know how many of you have read the book, The Spook That Sat by the Door, but yeah, that's a very interesting movie and book. And you know what? I think in reality, because there's secret police in every country in the world, and the reality sometimes this happens. Like you got a double agent, yeah, it can happen, and it's likely. I've never heard of a real double agent that was African American. Well, in this case, he's not a double agent because he fulfilled his duties and then talked about it years later. A decade later, per se. Maybe 5-6 years later after his activities ceased. I guess COINTELPRO program was stopped. But yeah, and I don't know if he faced any type of punishment for this, to be honest. But yeah, but there are people like that. I'm presuming it would be good to find another example to look at this 1980. So this is not even a decade after his activities, bro. And maybe that's why he's sweating. He could be sedated a little bit. He may have been a marked man after this. Who knows, man? Because think about that. Do you want agents messing with you? Because they can screw you up without you even knowing it. They have you thinking it's some other bullshit, tamper with your life, tamper with your family, just to destroy you or anything, man. These are tactics. This is why I always say to these dumbasses out here, and I have to put it that way, leave people's families, leave people and leave certain activities like doxing, all of these things. What do you think? Who do you think uses those things? Those are COINTELPRO actions. They do those kind of things. So when y'all participating in this stuff, you make people want to ask the question. That's just what it is, you know. And when you use the same tactics, you are a dumbass, yo. I have to say it. You are foul. You foul. You suspect yourself. Like straight up. Like even if you don't even realize it, maybe you don't even realize what you're doing. But when you use those kind of tactics, you're saying who you are. You're saying whose side of the team you're on. See, whose team you're on, you know, to be honest. You may not realize it. It may just be a coincidence. But if you are allowed to do that, then how are you going to recognize the agents and the spies? Because the agents and the spies are going to do that too. So if you're going to be doing all of that, maybe you one of them, flat out. Maybe you got a little reward. You see what I'm saying? Maybe you doing somebody else's dirty work. You see what I'm saying? So you don't have to have the title informant or agent to be one either. Keep that in mind, yo. Like really.
The second best way is the thing I've called trial and error observation, where you would go around and you would follow this guy, let's say, from a distance of anywhere from a half block to a block, as long as you can keep him in sight. And then you find out certain locales or certain places that this man goes to every day. Now, if you can get a set pattern of places that this man goes to every day, you got him down. You got him down. That's what they needed to know.
So after a couple of weeks, you were ready to go to work?
I wasn't ready, but I went to work, yeah.
Do you know if this indoctrination period is more sophisticated today?
Probably much more so sophisticated for the simple reason that they
2 weeks. So 2 weeks, they have somebody back then. They would have somebody up and running if they got the right kind of person on their team.
They're probably more severe on them as far as rating is concerned. Simply because of all the disclosures that are being made against them. I think they're being very, very careful.
Yo, Donnie, you hear me? You hear what I'm saying, man? Like some of these people, man, I don't think they either somebody is directing them and they don't realize it. Because listen, this is how insidious this thing is. You can direct people to do things without them even knowing it. You see, that's when you're a real good at your job. You see what I'm saying? And so the whole point is do not use the tactics of COINTELPRO, FBI. Do not use none of it. Give everybody a safe haven to be themselves, to have a life, to do some good. Keep in mind, Black Panther Party was just trying to do some good. Why would you use tactics like that against just people trying to do good, yo? Who says that? Like, just, yo, y'all better put your thinking cap on. Who doesn't want anybody that's Black doing some good for their community, even speaking peace to their community? Who doesn't want that? Who can't respect another Black person because of their difference in religion, difference in where they come from, town, or any of this shit? Who can't? Who can't deal with that? Did the Black Panther Party care what your nationality was? No. But the FBI didn't like them. The Black Panther Party wanted young kids to have some food, young kids to have a right mind, introduction to some clear thinking, even though I'm not a Marxist myself, but at least I understand what Marxism is. You see what I'm saying? And other means of organizing people, socialism, Marxism, you know, They're not the same. They're not the same, but they overlap each other at some points. They have some similarities, and also there's some the capitalism. Even in the U.S., they borrow some things from socialists too. Don't forget that. You see what I mean? They even at times might use some Marxist type of thing. Think about this. Just think about it if before you respond negatively. But in any case, don't do harm to your own people. Why would you ever use the same tactics of the FBI on your own people? You got to learn how to just let it go if you disagree with somebody. You see what I'm saying? But now some of these people want to use the agents.
And when they sink their hooks in, I think they're making sure that it is tight.
What's up, Divinely Inspired?
In your experience, did you ever see the FBI try to sway newspaper or media news?
Oh, no, hey, let me run this down to you. LA Times, man. I went over there and picked up press passes from certain people over there. Let me see. Some people that work for NBC
TV?
Yes, in Los Angeles. Used to get press passes to the Bureau and stuff. Fact is, we used to get some camera equipment from there.
So a lot of this.
You see the sweat on his brow? He is sweating. Homeboy is sweating, Usually that's a sign of telling the truth, and I think he's probably, I'm just guessing, he's probably knows he could be harmed for doing what he's doing, maybe even face jail time. But an informant, I don't know if you can do that as an informant. I don't know, if you work for the FBI, you might face jail time, but as an informant, maybe not. Who knows, man? I don't know what the hell they do, but this guy is obviously very nervous about what he's talking about, yeah, man.
News film was probably turned over to the FBI.
Oh, sure.
Was definitely turned over.
Oh, hey, they had a lot of reporters.
Yo, bro. Yo, that agent type stuff makes me think of a few different people, and I'm not trying to say I know what none of them think. That's why I don't go out there and make statements like he think he, or he think he, or they think they. I don't do none of those statements. Those are statements of assumption, statements that require no proof because it's not a definite that you know what anybody thinks. You can't know what's in somebody else's head. The only thing you can do is have the manhood or womanhood to ask them a direct question, But again, that's agent type stuff. He thinks, she thinks, disinformation. You see?
And, well, it was that old game of one hand washes the other. Usually an agent would prefer to meet the reporter on a one-on-one basis. You understand what I mean? Build a rapport with him, go out to the press club, buy him a few drinks, take him out to Hollywood Park, for the races, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I would be hiding too. I'm pretty sure he got good reason to hide after doing this because this is not even a decade after his operations, bro.
Hey, Jim, your paper's covering such and such, or your TV station's covering such and such. And yeah, I just like a little bit more information than I've been getting. I need it, it would kind of help me, you know what I mean? A personal favor. And if you do something for me, maybe I can do something for you, in the future. Like, when we're about to break a case, you'll be the first to know, that kind of thing.
What kind of work did you end up doing as an undercover agent? Were you doing espionage work or informant work?
Informant work, and also
that's got to be the most sickening part of it. Like they tell you, when we're about to break the case, you'll be the first to know, as if that's some sort of reward. Like, yay, these people are about to be taken down, and I helped do that. Ha ha. And you're talking about the Black Panther Party in his case. You're talking about good people from different backgrounds actually trying to do good for that country, actually trying to stop the government from being so oppressive, not even just to Black people, but to people, all people. And you hear that? They're like, yeah, when we're about to break a case, you'll be the first to know. Yay!
what you would call illegal entries, selling of weapons, selling of explosives, arson.
You would sell weapons and explosives to these radical, so-called radical groups that you were joining?
Yes.
All right. Where did you operate?
I was given a cover name, Ed Riggs. With that, I was also given a birth certificate stating that both my parents were, a birth certificate and a record for a Robert Riggs and a Mary Riggs who were deceased.
And you lost all of your true identity?
Yes.
And you operated in California?
California.
What cities in California?
Los Angeles, Oakland, San Francisco, Berkeley, Sacramento.
Yeah, Norma, how you doing, bro?
Chino, San Bernardino, Santa Cruz.
Any other states since California?
Yeah. Chicago, Chicago, New York.
Oh, they execute your ass in Saudi Arabia, I presume. You know what I'm saying? That's, I think, why they kill you, bro. They off with your head, man. You gonna die. You know, that's obvious. But it's a good question because all governments don't handle things the same exact way when it comes to stuff like this. I mean, some governments will kill you. At that time, the United States government will kill you, their own citizens. You know what I'm saying? The FBI was killing their own citizens, sabotaging, setting up, and causing the death of their own citizens. That's almost unheard of. But then again, Saudi Arabia does it. So they was akin to Saudi Arabia at that time, you know. And but some other governments, they may not go to that extreme. They might just lock you up, file charges. A lot of Western countries would rather file charges, but and you know, give you some prison time. But who knows, man? Keep in mind we talking about the FBI. I'm not talking about the CIA. But yeah. So yeah, man, this is something else though. They probably get something cut off there. Yeah, absolutely, man. But just watching this kind of gives me the creeps, you know. Because this man is obviously not comfortable. Look at his body language. He's leaning back, you know, legs spread, shoulders. Look how his body's like leaning a little bit. Shoulder. He looked like he's been moving around in that chair a lot, like left to right, just repositioning himself. He looked like he having a difficult time, but yeah.
New York. Made two trips.
He's definitely nervous.
To Washington, D.C. Also, I better put in Seattle, Washington. That's very important too.
How does the FBI coordinate this information? You were one of a number of agents who were doing this. How did they correlate and coordinate this flow of information? How many agents, let's start with that, how many agents were working in a given city like LA in the late 60s?
Jesus, we're talking about a lot of people. Like I said before, in the state, I would say 700 to 1,000. In Los Angeles, which was a large concentrated area of blacks, we're talking about anywhere from 300 to 400 people. San Francisco, probably the same thing. That's a large concentration of black people. Wherever there was a large concentration of blacks or a large concentration of minorities. Don't let me only say blacks, because we're talking about the Chicanos and we're talking about the Chinese too.
But among every ethnic group, there were ethnic groups of that group who could be recruited by the FBI to infiltrate their own.
Right.
Just want to get a sense of how much money American taxpayers were laying out for this kind of exercise. What was your salary?
Yeah, and also, you know, not just the looks on the outside, but probe how they think, you know, probe their thoughts, you know, direct questions, you know, like, you know, ask them about things, make them, you know, I think if you involved with any kind of group, organization, You know, you need to provide literature and also information to the members to be able to probe their thinking and and get them to tell you what they think about certain types of things, their views, get them to go on record about their actual views, you know, because a lot of times, you know, it's just I would say the thinking, of course, you know, the monetary value is always going to be there, but the thinking is what's going to stop a thinking person is not going to compromise their ethics. Not a person that's really, really, you know, knows what the stakes are, right? A lot of times these type of informants, they do things, it's self-serving. They didn't even obvious. This is about self-serving, job, money, da da da. Um, some people may convince themselves that they're doing something for mankind. The other informant, what's the guy's name? That was also here. Let me pull it up right here. Let me pull it up. Boom. Let me see here. It's over here. There was another. There's another vid I got up. The brother, well, William O'Neill, right? He ended his own life, you know, and you get to hear him talk about, you know, things like he was proud, he was in the movement, he even thought he was in the movement, like the Black Panther movement or something, while being an agent, and you could see the look on his face. He was having hard. He was having a hard time spitting that lie out, but he had used that to convince himself because you're going to have an internal problem after you do these things. And when you help the government harm your own people, people that are just trying to do good, I'm not talking about people trying to do bad, people trying to do good, just basic things like human and civil rights, you are a sellout. You got to wear that badge the rest of your life. Yes, you do. You see what I'm saying? Now, again, I'm not talking about, you know, stopping people that are doing harm in their community. But obviously, human and civil rights is not doing harm in your community, yo. Feeding young people is not doing harm in your community. You know, trying to get people active in their civil rights, meaning voting, meaning organizing around housing issues, organizing around issues of education, these kind of things. You know, the FBI is not supposed to be trying to stop people from doing that. Um, Organizing against anti-Black racism. No government organization or member of one is supposed to ever be trying to stop anyone from combating the discrimination they face. Then you are a traitor. You're a traitor to not only, you're a traitor to the country itself and your own people, however you want to see it. You see, at that point, because you're supposed to live in a democracy that has certain values, you know. So yeah, so but some people do it like Othello did. This man Darthard, he said, "You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to spit the shit out, let people know what I did." I don't know how he died. We're going to get to that though. Um, we're going to get to that. But do y'all think it's good? What do you think about him coming out and speaking about his actions? Even William O'Neill, what do you think about him speaking on his actions? Do you think that was a good thing? Um, I don't think William O'Neill was on Like It Is though. Let me double check. I don't believe that was the case, but was it? Let me see something. Was it? No, he wasn't. So that's a little different. He had a different type of attitude actually than Othello. But here we go.
When I started with the Bureau, I was making, $200 a week plus expenses. When I left the Bureau, I was making close to about $800 a week, and also some expenses too.
So it might run as high as $1,000 a week.
Yes, it's according to what assignment you were put on at the time.
And statewide, there were 750 agents.
700 to 1,000. It might have been more than 1,000 statewide. People are into a fantasy world when they believe that the Federal Bureau of Investigation finds out what it finds out through the method of scientific investigation. that the agents can just go out and they can plot a course and they can follow a man everywhere and they take notes and such. That's not the name of the game. The name of the game is find someone that is close to that man or can get close to that man or that group or whatever and have him do the legwork.
So in other words, there obviously then would have to be more informants than agents.
Definitely.
What would the ratio be? 10 to 1?
I think every special agent usually has anywhere from 6 to 7 what I would call prime informants or agent provocateurs. And then also you have anywhere from 20 to 25 people per agent also that are not really what you would call the everyday informant or agent provocateur, meaning that that person is not on a steady payroll by the Bureau. But every once in a while, they will go to that person for information.
What is your speculation on what recently happened in Miami? Would you suspect that there has been a number of agents or informants that have descended on Miami since that eruption?
Oh, definitely, definitely. And not only from the Federal Bureau of Investigation, too. You'll have people from military intelligence. Military intelligence and the CIA, for the simple reason that they want to find out the CIA and the military intelligence people want to find out, is there any...
Yeah, I mean, they're speaking out now, obviously, because they had a conflict of conscience, afterwards. That's obviously what it is. I mean, maybe some more than others, but so yeah, I mean, the harm was done. The harm had gotten done. And when you're when your job is just giving out information, you could be harming so many other people without even realizing it. Not even just the people you even think you're informing on. You see what I'm saying? You could be doing other things, and a lot of times, yeah, it's just sad, man. That's why I just say traitor, man, traitor. And especially if you're an informant against human rights, civil rights activities, you are a traitor. You are a traitor to humanity. You're the worst kind of traitor. You're not even, if there could be a worst kind of traitor, what's the worst kind of traitor? Traitor to your race or humanity? I mean, because humanity is your race and everybody else. But maybe there's a lot of people that are just anti-human, bro. I mean, and I think that might play into it also. Some people can be antisocial and hate everybody, hate everything. And, you just mess around and you try to do some good for your community and somebody gonna hate on you. I'm gonna hate on you, and they will take it to lengths. They will take it to lengths, man. You won't even know why, yo.
Is this anything connected with some kind of foreign agency? That's their prime objective. The Bureau wants to find out whether this was a organized
facts
type of mass movement that's going on. Are there leaders? Are there central people that started this? They want to find that out. Who was the one that was out there getting the group of people together and said, hey, let's go get this? They want to know that.
How would you tell a member of a community that they might be able to spot an informant? How is that possible? Can you spot one? Or what should one look for? Let's say someone in Liberty City.
Well, it's like this. Informants come in all sizes, colors, and attitudes. There is no definite way, unless you can get hold of his telephone bill, and if you can connect the number with a bureau office, then you got it. But
the fact that they're not working steady and yet are able to eat and get around doesn't mean anything.
Not so much in the black communities. That's one of the hard things, because there's such thing as hustling. And some people are known as good hustlers. So people don't tend to trip off of them. Hey, Blood, I don't know how Blood did it. Blood probably did. He robbed somebody, or hey, man, he's selling some weed or whatever,
Would it necessarily have to be a new face in the community?
No. Now, fact is, they tend to shy away from that. What they try to do is get someone that's already situated. It's much easier. much, much easier. If they have what they call a prime informant, one that has been trained, that knows how to get into the group. Say he's with another group and he's made a name for himself. Okay, and then there is a group that the Bureau is interested in. Well, what they would like for him to do then is use his rep from the other group to deal with it.
What do you...
It's insane to know that there's no reparations still, even after this kind of shit. This is not even that long ago. This is in my lifetime. You see what I'm saying? This is in my lifetime. This is not 300, 400 years ago. This is in my lifetime. You know, and there's still been no justice for even that, bro.
You base your conjecture or your statement that FBI operations and surveillance is more extensive today than it ever was. Why would there be? There doesn't seem to be the kind of organizations that existed in the 60s. Why would there be an even greater surveillance on the part of the government?
Well, you have to look at it from the standpoint that the Bureau looks at it. And to them, organization, no organization, as long as there's one or two people or a handful of people that still think in the molds of some of the groups in the 60s, then they will be watching them. You can believe it.
Then we moved into the area of budget, how the Bureau operates and manages its money.
The FBI has holdings in different companies. They have storefronts, businesses.
Wait a minute now. Why would they have holdings in companies, stock holdings in companies?
It's extra money.
Oh, you mean they get such a big budget and they may not use it in a particular year, so they invest in the stock market?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes. The Bureau could, if federal funding was cut off to the Bureau right now, it could still go at full budget, I guess, for the next 5, maybe 6 years.
Is it for this reason that the FBI has been able to stand up against many other government agencies?
You have to understand the person that started the Bureau and his background, J. Edgar Hoover. J. Edgar made an agency that was answerable to nobody but J. Edgar. There hasn't been a president that would dare call the FBI out on the carpet. Why?
Why?
Number one, just like they do background or surveillance on us, I suspect they do it to quite a few people up there in the Capitol. Senators, presidents, vice presidents. Everybody's got a skeleton in his closet.
And on top of that, he's rendered the FBI financially independent.
Yes. The allotments for their budget has grown bigger and bigger with each year. While I was in the Bureau for 7 years, the budget grew bigger and bigger. It's a thing that the monies not spent are always sent back to the government. Okay, but if you notice, the Bureau never sends any money back. Never. It uses its total budget, which is almost unheard of, except for the CIA, and they do the same thing. I guess being super patriots, they always have to figure that someday maybe the government might become corrupt with communists and leftists and black and communists and minorities and whatever, and that the FBI would have to function on its own bravely by itself. So J. Edgar Hoover had the foresight to make sure that the FBI would have a little nest egg around so it could conquer these subversives,
And work west. What groups did you infiltrate in New York?
In New York, it was the Black Panther Party, Queens section.
How far into the organization did you get, and how'd you do it?
What I did was I was a member of the party already in the California area. All I did was travel up and say I was checking out the party in the Queens area. What happened was, though, I only stayed with that assignment for, 2.5 days. We found out later, we found out then that it was infiltrated heavily by the New York Police Department.
And there was no need for your services.
There was no need for my services.
Let's go back to the 60s. In the first interview, you touched on the fact that you were involved in some way in the robbery of arms from the armory, weapons from the armory.
Yes.
Give us the details and what just went down.
What happened was that the Black Liberation Army, was in need of weapons. This was relayed to my supervising agent.
By you?
By me. Okay. He said, well, why don't you go back to them and tell them that you have a plan to get some weapons?
What year was this incident?
Jesus, I don't really remember.
Okay. All right.
I don't really remember. It was early 70s. I know that. What happened was, well, I didn't live that far from the Cotton Armory. It was right up the street. And what the plan was that I laid out to him, that on parade day, they only had one guard at the armory, and it would be very easily to go in there and get the weapons.
What role did the Bureau play in allowing you access or to facilitate access to rip off these arms?
Oh, they worked out the whole thing. They made sure that that there were no guards, except for, I think it was there one guard? I think there was one. No, there wasn't. There wasn't anybody, as a matter of fact. That was the thing that kind of made me nervous about the whole thing, because I said, damn, you're supposed to have, it looks kind of phony when you go to an armory on a military base that's located near the Compton Watt area, and there's no guard in there with the weapons.
This is by day or by night?
This happened during the day.
What time of day? Morning?
No, it was late afternoon.
So what happened? You went into the armory via, how did you get in?
What we did was...
How many?
It was 6 of us all together.
Okay.
And we cut there was a chain with a lock. We cut the chain, opened the gate, shimmied on in, got over to where the armory was, opened the door, nobody was there, took the weapons and split. But the thing about it was the firing pins were taken out of the 16, the firing pins were taken out of the 6 caliber machine guns. The grenade launchers, they were ready, no doubt. They were in A1. Nothing had been tampered with them. I couldn't understand that.
Why would the Bureau be interested in collaborating to allow the theft of these weapons, so that knowing that they were going to go to the SBA or the BLA?
Well, it's like this.
SLA, I'm sorry.
Well, you have to, there's a thing called a controlled situation. And what is meant by controlled situation is that you know who has what and what they intend to do with it. Then also you can also have someone or something where you can exert a little pressure to make sure that they do such and such a thing. They don't deviate. And the Bureau was very into controlled situations.
So in other words, when they got these weapons, they could then be goaded or lured into getting into some activity that would make them vulnerable.
Right.
In other words, set up.
Right.
At this juncture, Perry began talking about a man called Elmer. So in other words, when they got these weapons, they could then be goaded or lured into getting into some activity that would make them vulnerable.
Right.
In other words, set up.
Right.
At this juncture, Perry began talking about a man called Elmer Geronimo Pratt, who Perry says is serving time for a crime he couldn't have committed.
Going to allow a person like Elmer Pratt to sit up 9 years in jail for nothing. The man did nothing except that he was a leader in the Black Panther Party, and They wanted him out of the way.
They?
The Bureau.
So, what happened?
Well, there was a murder, right? The murder happened in Los Angeles. Elmer Pratt was in Oakland, okay? Elmer Pratt was under 24-hour surveillance, both physical and SE, electronic, okay? The Bureau, at any time after LAPD picked up Elmer Pratt, could have went down there and said, hey, look, you made a mistake. The guy was in Oakland, okay? They didn't. They sit back and let it happen because they wanted the man out of the way. It's the both physical and SE, electronic, okay? The Bureau, at any time after LAPD picked up Elmer Pratt, could have went down there and said, hey, look, you made a mistake. The guy was in Oakland, okay? They didn't. They sit back and let it happen because they wanted the man out of the way. It's sick. Here's a man that got a Bronze Star and a Silver Star. Pratt, right, Elmer Geronimo Pratt. So when he got out of the service, he joined the Black Panther Party because it was a cause that he thought was just and he thought was right. Possibly, and I'm not saying, don't let me paint him a saint, the man possibly did some things, but he did not commit a murder. You know? And let me tell you something about Elmer Pratt. And this is from personal observation. The man was honest, the man was upright, and his word was his bond. You know? And he wouldn't go around doing a jive-ass robbery on a damn tennis court and kill someone. That's just not Elmer Pratt. He was set up, he was railroaded from the get. I'm surprised they didn't try to kill him in prison. And I'll be surprised if they don't attempt to do it now. Because now people are starting to make waves. Finally, people are starting to realize after the man's been in there 9 years, and oh, by the way, four years of that was in solitary confinement.
Was the Crumpton Armory the only instance where you supplied arms to liberation or black groups?
No. I supplied handguns, a few other things, quite a few people. The Community Freedom School, I gave them the ID, the money, and told them the store to go to purchase weapons. And what weapons to purchase?
Have you witnessed
What's up, Buccaneer?
murder?
One. Fred Bennett.
Were there ties to the Bureau involved in this murder?
Fred to purchase weapons. And what weapons to purchase? And I gave them the ID, the money, and told them the store to go to purchase weapons. And what weapons to purchase?
Have you witnessed murder?
One. Fred Bennett.
Were there ties to the Bureau involved in this murder?
Well, let me put it to you like
Who's
this.
Fred Bennett?
Fred Bennett was a sort of low-ranking Panther Party member in Oakland. He was with the national headquarters. I found out later on that there was a great possibility, or that he might have been really a informant, but of a very low caliber.
Well, what happened? What did you see?
Well, I went up in a Jeep in the Santa Cruz Mountains with Jimmy Carr, Fred Bennett, and myself, and some white guy. Also, I was finding out later on that the white guy was working for the Bureau also. Mosier, I think his name was.
What happened?
Anyway, we get up there.
Yo, can you imagine? That's how many people they have giving information that all three of these dudes end up in the same car, you know what I'm saying? And none of them know each other, you know, and they're all informants to one degree or another.
To the mountain. And Bennett says, you know, we got informants here.
In the car.
In the car. And when he said that, the first name that clicked through my head was, excuse the expression, Jimmy Carr was not one to be trifling with. The brother had been in and out of prison all his life. For him to cut somebody's throat or to possibly physically beat them to death would have been no problem. He was a big, big brother. The only thing that I could think of, well, the man's hands is on the steering wheel. Let me try to take his head off, or he takes mine off. I was armed also. Then,
so what did you do?
I jumped, and I said, "Hey, what you talking about, man?" And that's when he pulled his 357, and he said,
"Car."
Yeah. He said, "I'm talking about Freddie." And what I thought was going to happen, now when he stopped it, he took him out, he chastised him, right? Slapped him around a lot. And then he took him up the hill. What I thought he was going to do was, you know, like beat the guy up severely, you know, break a leg, arm, whatever, you know, mess his head up a little taste, and then leave him out there. The next thing I know, me and Mosier, the white guy, we're standing by the Jeep, and we hear 3 shots go off. And then Carr comes down the hill, and he says, "Hey, you guys got to help me get rid of the body." And I'm thinking, oh, he killed him. That's, you know, but the thing was also, I was saying, play it like it is, you know, don't act like you're going to panic or anything, you know. So we went back up the hill. The white boy was greatly agitated. I mean, he's scared. I mean, excuse the expression. We went up there. He had almost actually decapitated the man. Have you ever seen a 357? Have you seen what he could do?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, his head was all, you know, like off. And we got some brush, some wood, and got some gasoline for the Jeep, and Carr poured it over the body and threw a match, and he burned the body up. And when I got back, I called up my supervising agent immediately and told him exactly what happened. And do you know they did not do a damn thing? No.
Carr.
Nothing.
Damn. Now think about that. That guy that got killed, he said he was a low-level agent, right? And you think about this, he got murdered. They knew about it, and nothing was done. Nothing. That's very interesting. So, yeah, man. I don't know. Let me just rewind that back to get the gist of this, because just to make sure everybody understands that whole cycle there, that sequence.
Hands was on the steering wheel. Let me try to take the brother. We get up there to the. Well, I went up in a Jeep in the Santa Cruz Mountains with Jimmy Carr, Fred Bennett, and myself, and some white guy. Also, I would find out later on that the white guy was working for the Bureau also.
Okay, it's 4 of them.
Mosier, I think his name was.
What happened?
Anyway, we get up there to the mountain, and Bennett says, you know, we got informants here.
In the car.
In the car. And when he said that, the first name that clicked through my head was, excuse the expression, Jimmy Carr was not one to be trifling with. The brother had been in and out of prison all his life. For him to cut somebody's throat or to possibly physically beat them to death would have been no problem. He was a big, big brother. the only thing that I could think of, well, the man's hands was on the steering wheel. Let me try to take his head off, or he takes mine off. I was armed also. Then,
So what did you do?
I jumped, and I said, "Hey, what you talking about, man?" And that's when he pulled his 357, and he said,
Car?
"Yeah." He said, "I'm talking about Freddie." And what I thought was going to happen, now when he stopped it, he took him out, he chastised him, right, slapped him around a lot. And then he took him up the hill. What I thought he was going to do was, like beat the guy up severely, break a leg, arm, whatever, mess his head up a little taste, and then leave him out there. The next thing I know, me and Mosier, the white guy, we're standing by the Jeep, and we hear 3 shots go off. And then car comes down the hill, and he says, "Hey, you guys got to help me get rid of the body." And I'm thinking, oh, he killed him. That's, but the thing was also, I was saying, play it like it is, don't act like you're going to panic or anything, So we went back up the hill. The white boy was greatly agitated. I mean, he's scared. Excuse the expression. We went up there. He had almost actually decapitated the man. Have you ever seen a 357? Have you seen what he could do?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, his head was all, like off. And we got some brush, some wood, and got some gasoline for the Jeep, and car poured it over the body and threw a match, and he burned the body up. And when I got back, I called up my supervising agent immediately and told him exactly what happened. And do you know they did not do a damn thing?
The car.
Nothing.
George Jackson was a member of the controversial Black Panther Party who was killed while he was in prison. Reports are that Jackson was trying to escape from prison when he was gunned down in the prison yard. Perry had some information about that. As I recall, there was a good deal of public uproar about him being in the slams, and the chances were pretty good that he was going to get out because of this public pressure. If that's so, why would he be involved in such a sham attempt to break out of prison?
Okay, let me put it to you like this. I think that, you have to understand the psychology of prison per se itself. Every inmate fantasizes about breaking out. Let me put it to you like that. After you've been there a year or so, you're going to be thinking about, how can I get out of this place? The thing was, George Jackson thought that, and he probably thought correctly, that San Quentin officials under no circumstances were going to let that man walk away from that prison alive. Appeal or no appeal, probation or no probation. There are so many ways you can set a person up in prison. It's not funny, they want you, they'll get you.
So not only because he hated the prison, but because his life was in jeopardy there.
Oh yeah, more so than I think more so that his life was in jeopardy. I was called by a group of so-called radical left in California to witness some fireworks up in Santa Cruz mountain area. When I talk about fireworks, I'm talking about explosives.
Not 4th of July.
Yeah.
What happened when you went to witness this testing of fireworks?
I took a Portapack unit with me, a kite. I videotaped the sequence of how they used the explosives, who was there,
What kind of explosives were they actually?
They were, let me see, plastic explosives, and it was a solution somewhat like nitroglycerin or nitroglycerin. Very high explosive.
Okay, so what happened after that?
Okay, I found out through Carr and 2 of the other people there that this was supplying this to them. I went back with the videotape to the Bureau, and I was later to find out that also worked for the Bureau.
Mm-hmm. Now, what was the real purpose that this group was testing these fireworks? Did they tell you at the time?
For a possible escape of George Jackson.
Okay, so what happened?
What happened was that James Carr, who was better known as Jimmy Carr, who was like a second lieutenant to George Jackson, also was one of his former cellmates, was setting up a escape plan.
Right.
Okay. Now, the thing that is very confusing at this point to me is that through the information that I have and from the times that I spoke to Jimmy, they were setting up the works, but they hadn't put anything in motion. In other words, they had been slipping certain items into Mr. Jackson at present through different means. But the time wasn't right at the time that George Jackson supposedly made the attempt.
But at any rate, a plan then was for someone to slip this stuff into prison and get it to either Jimmy Carr or George Jackson to effect a breakout.
Oh, no, wait a minute. Jimmy Carr was on the outside at that time.
I'm sorry. Okay.
But it was slipped into George.
Okay.
It was slipped in.
Okay.
Because the same house turned up after the so-called prison breakout. If you remember, the day of the George Jackson assassination, and that's what the hell it was, Vanetta Anderson supposedly went to visit George Jackson. I am saying Vanetta Anderson did not visit George Jackson. I am saying that guys, as a black woman, went to visit George Jackson. And I am saying also that Stephen Bingham, the attorney, was used by the way of handing the tape recorder to Stephen Bingham, to Bingham to take in, because there was no gun in that tape recorder. That gun was already inside there with George Jackson.
But apparently then, not only had the nitro and stuff been slipped to Jackson, but also there was a plan. And what was that plan?
Well, the plan that we knew about, or let me say, the plan that I knew about personally was the plan where they were supposed to blow the east wall of the prison. Jackson, in turn, was supposed to have taken a chain, some long metal object, thrown it around the wires and grounded it. That's cutting out the power to the prison. And then escape off in the darkness with jeeps, with armed people that Carr knew.
But what actually did happen?
What actually did happen, okay, now this is only a hypothesis on my part.
Yeah.
But what I think, since the prison authorities and the Bureau were well aware of what Jackson was planning to do, that they forced his hand. Also, I believe that one of the guards had the 9mm pistol. There is no way in hell that George Jackson could have got that 9mm pistol smuggled in, because that 9mm pistol was confiscated over a year ago from Landon Williams during a raid. Oakland Police Department had it in their possession. It went from the Oakland Police Department to the Bureau, and from the Bureau it disappeared up until the time Jackson supposedly had that snuck in with, he hid it in a wig or whatever they said he did, whatever lie he came up with.
So you're saying then that George Jackson was given these vials that were actually duds, and then he ran out thinking that it was nitro, threw it against the wall, ping, they didn't go off, and he was blown away.
Right. And the thing that backs that to the max is that the brother that went out with him also had two of the tubes. But the thing was, the prison authorities put them in a basket and they took the tubes out into the center of the yard, and supposedly they stood back from a long distance and shot their weapons at it, breaking the tubes and the contents. The contents all spilled out, and so there was no way to examine those. They did find one tube, and that was in George's cell, but no one's ever been able to get their hands on it.
Yeah, so basically the FBI is implicated in George Jackson's murder. He's implicating them, it sounds like, right? I mean, am I hearing this right? By setup, by giving some faulty, bad nitro. How did he know? He thought he was getting good nitro. Who gave him the nitro? It was bad, but who put it there? What about the gun? The story about the gun? The official story is different, but this man's testimony here, it defies the official story. The official story is that his brother tried to bring in a gun or something like that. But the question is, like he's saying, how do you bring in a 9? It's what he thinks. This is what he thinks. I wonder if his brother ever spoke on this. But let's see. Let's let it roll. See what else he's saying.
Due to some legal process brought down by the Attorney General's office in California.
What do you have to say about the church committee hearings? Do you feel that the church committee has revealed all the information that they've gathered?
No way. No way. No way.
What?
This is, I think, I'm not sure. I haven't seen the testimony of his brother, but from what I heard, that's what happened, that his brother somehow brought the gun, But I mean, it's worth examining again. But it's interesting enough that this man implicates the FBI through various means. Like he's saying that there was some tampering somehow. But let's roll it. Let's let it roll. I don't know, but I think it's worth examining. He's in that area, operating in that region. And it is his thoughts. It's his own thoughts. It's not an official record of it, I guess this is thoughts as an informant.
Percentage would you say they've released of the material from a personal viewpoint?
Personal viewpoint, I'd say about 10%, if that. That's kind of stretching it, I believe.
When you went to Washington to testify, you took a lot of evidence with you.
Yes, I did.
Physical evidence.
Yes, I did.
They kept that evidence.
Yes, they did.
Where is it?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
It was never made public.
No, it wasn't.
Was it strong evidence?
It was very strong evidence. I mean, how strong can you get when you actually have the voice of the man speaking to you over the telephone, instructing you after you steal certain particular paperwork to burn that garage up? And he says his name. I think that's very strong evidence.
Well, what do you make of their reticence?
Yeah, just one is like a plague, man. And obviously there were many. I mean, he's even in the car with multiple FBI agents at one time who don't know that each other are FBI agents, officially. It's crazy.
In releasing this information.
Well, let me put it to you like this. I think
informants, I'm sorry.
The whole thing was a farce. I think it was a setup. When I went up there, I was interviewed by some people from the Justice Department, which was cool. But then also they had 2 agents from the Bureau that interviewed me for an hour concerning the information that they damn sure knew about. I think church cooperated with the authorities to a great extent as far as holding back certain elements of things. The Bureau has a good way of dealing with senators and congressmen. When they try to release something on them, they say, "Hey, well, this file is still active, or this case is still actively going on, and if you release this pertinent information, then it will destroy the whole case." That kind of thing. So, what is that called? There is a expression that they use for this. I'm trying to remember that expression. It's a little legal terminology in the interest of national security.
We've aired these interviews in the hope that we've provided information and food for thought. It's not our purpose to characterize Mr. Perry nor judge him. If you choose, however, to pass judgment on Darthard Perry, it might also be appropriate to question whether or not each of us bears some responsibility for having allowed things like this to occur and continue to this very day.
You know you're going to go to prison, don't you, sooner or later? Or do you think you might get away?
I don't think I'm going to prison. I really don't think I'm going to prison.
Are you in fear of your life?
Not particularly.
How can that be?
It's like this.
I mean, all the characters that you've been running with, and now you're turning and talking about them, naming names. Somebody's got to get warm. This interview, full face on camera, there's a good chance it's going to be seen nationwide.
Well, I take it like this. I've played the game this long. I'll play the game out. I think I have a little bit more going for me now than I had before. I think people are aware of the position that I was in and why I was in the position I was in. And I don't think the Bureau, under any circumstances, wants to put their hands on me. The fact is, I think they're going to be using most of their time denying that they've ever known me. The fact is, from when this stuff, when I first came out with it, that was one of the things. We've never talked to him before. We don't know him. You know. Then later on, it was a thing. Well, yes, we know him, but he never worked for us. Then the third thing that came out, well, yes, he worked for us, but he didn't work for us at the times he said he worked for us. I think they're more worried about people becoming aware of what's happening, more so than me.
In your career as an informer, you committed arson, you witnessed murder, you stole weapons and supplied them to certain groups under false pretenses. You procured information from people. That's an ugly mirror to hang up in front of your face, isn't it?
Definitely. But then also, if you're thinking about the part of them pressing charges against me behind those actions that I did, you have to also think in part that if they're going to press charges against me, then they have to press charges against them.
How much would you say you've earned in your career as an informer? Have you ever thought about it?
What do y'all think about that answer he gave right there to that question that Gil asked him? Let's go back and hear that question again.
Procured information. You committed arson. You witnessed
people becoming aware of what's happening.
Informer. You committed arson.
Me.
In your career as an informer, you committed arson. You witnessed murder. You stole weapons and supplied them to certain groups under false pretenses. You procured information from people. That's an ugly mirror to hang up in front of your face, isn't it?
Definitely. But then also, if you're thinking about the part of them pressing charges against me behind those actions that I did, you have to also think in part that if they're going to press charges against me, then they have to press charges against them.
What does that mean? Who said that Gil was asking him about the FBI pressing charges on him? I didn't hear Gil say nothing about that. To me, I thought he was asking about how does he see it? How should the people see it? That's an ugly history to put up in your face as a mirror. You know, and his answer was about the government, it sounds like. I don't know. Am I missing something here? What y'all think about that answer? Yeah, I agree. You know, his body language, particularly here, the way his eyes move, it's a defensive posture. It's a defensive posture, having his eyes that way, and to me, that's what I'm seeing. And but it seemed like his answer, like he totally missed the like there was a total disconnect in the question there, which I find very interesting. And that was the same with the William O'Neill interview. William O'Neill seemed like it was even deeper, but than this dude. The answer explains all the violence we see in divided states globally by divided states. Okay, normal. That's why they don't touch illegals. Divided states funds tells them to go do grimy stuff allegedly. He wasn't really worried about the people. Yeah, the people wasn't even on his mind in that answer, man. Like, okay, maybe that's it. Maybe he asked him if he would ever get prosecuted. Yeah, he asked him before that. So that's what it is. Maybe that, yeah, I could see maybe that's how he took the question too. There's also slight smirk. But I didn't take the question that way. I took it as a totally different question. Like, I mean, one question is one question. The next question, all the questions don't have to be exactly related. But let's bring it back again. Well,
How much would you say you've earned in your career as an informer? Have you ever thought about it?
I don't know if I agree there, Donnie, but it's possible. I see why it's possible to think that too. I mean, I understand that he did mention the question before was like you said. Let me put Donnie's. He asked him, would he ever get prosecuted? Yeah, that was the question before that. Was he worried about being prosecuted? Yeah, but he answered that question fully. And then to me, it was like the next question was how, I thought the question was related to his own feelings, about what he did, because he said the mirror. Listen to this. Well,
But then also,
And supplied them to as an informant.
more so than me.
In your career as an informer, you committed arson, you witnessed murder, you stole weapons and supplied them to certain groups under false pretenses. You procured information from people. That's an ugly mirror to hang up in front of your face, isn't it?
Definitely. But then also, if you're thinking about the part of them pressing charges against me behind those actions that I did, you have to also think in part that if they're going to press charges against me, then they have to press charges against them.
I don't. To me, he added that to it himself, because, I mean, I don't understand his answer. Myself. It's obvious that the U.S. I mean, yeah, if they press charges against him, or if there's a moral or ethical issue against him, then it speaks for the FBI. Yeah, we get that. But was that the question? So yeah, but anyway, let's let it play.
How much would you say you've earned in your career as an informer? Have you ever thought about it?
No, not really. I would say anywhere in the 7 year period, I'd say anywhere between.
You know what? See, Gil is a good interviewer, because you're free to answer that question however you want. It's your answer. You know what I'm saying? And a person that asks good questions is going to allow you to answer the question however you want, because how you answer it speaks about who you are, how your own mind works. And I think that question was a moral question that Gil gave him. And I think this man didn't connect to it morally. He connected it to the FBI, his job. But I could see how he might have connected to that too, because the question before, but in an interview, I don't know, man. Because if you think about it, his answer, that's too easy. Yeah, we know the FBI is implicit in dirty, rotten shit. Duh. We know that. Like, they're gonna prosecute him. They're gonna, it's clear that was his thinking, though. I mean, because he qualified it in his answer. But I'm curious if that's what Gil meant, but let's go.
$50,000, $60,000
Over a 7-year period.
over a 7-year period.
It's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money, no. Per se, it really wasn't the money. It was the pressure.
How much?
In your career as an informer, have you ever thought about it?
No, not really. I would say anywhere in the 7-year period, I'd say anywhere between $50,000, $60,000
Over a 7-year period.
over a 7-year period.
It's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money, no. Per se, it really wasn't the money. It was the pressure. You'd be surprised at what a squeeze in the right place can do to a person. Because if you had told me when I got out of the service that I would work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I told you were out of your mind.
That's an
And you're saying
answer.
it's not a lot of money.
It's not a lot of money, no. Per se, it really wasn't the money. It was the pressure. You'd be surprised at what a squeeze in the right place can do to a person. Because if you had told me when I got out of the service that I would work for the Federal Bureau of Investigation, I told you were out of your mind.
And you're saying to our audience today that there are many, many, many black people, brothers and sisters, who are caught in the same bind that you were in.
Our words.
And are working for the government.
Oh, yeah.
Informing on our people.
Definitely. The thing that really irritates me about this whole situation is that, of course, I know what I've done. You know, I'm well aware of that. I don't need to be reminded of it. But I think that black people in general need to be reminded of it because it's happening every day and it's happening in every city in this country. I doubt that there's a place between Alaska and California that is not happening to black people. But the thing that gets me is that black people are sitting back and they're saying, yeah, well, get him. Yeah, you can get me. Big deal. You haven't hurt them one iota. Fact is, you did them a favor, if you really want to get down to it. You did them an immense favor because you killed the cat that was pulling your coattail, and that's all they want anyway. You know, the thing is dealing directly with them. Use your lawmakers, your so-called prestigious community leaders to go out there and start questioning these people, letting them know that they're not going to allow this type of situation to happen anymore.
Are you saying then that too many black folks today are apathetic and laying back in the cut because you don't see enough resentment to what has gone down?
Definitely, I'm saying that. If I was part of the madness and it makes me ill and it makes me angry, and I can go out here and do what I'm doing now, and these are the people that it was being done to, and they don't even give a damn, then hey man, what's happening? You know, you tell me, you let me know.
As far back as the 1920s.
Wow. I mean, that's a profound statement that he made right there, though. It speaks to his mindset, and I guess when you become engaged or you get access to a certain kind of industry, let's just say it's like that industry, and you get access to it, so you're shown tools and that you didn't know existed before. Just like information, any kind of information, you become more enlightened. Reading helps do that. You know, that's why they tell people, you know, read things like if you want to understand about governments and stuff like this, you know, the bad side of it, you know, and also how they may organize. A lot of government readers read things like Machiavelli, you know, The Prince and stuff, works like this, you know. And because then you get to see what kind of stuff they really into and how long ago they was thinking up this stuff, you know, and how to deal with people, how they frame the world, how they frame wars, how they frame societies, how they frame a people and and a nation building. You see what I mean? And then your mind reshapes, and then then you see things in a whole nother way. The same stuff you're seeing, but you're seeing it in a whole nother way. And I think it seems like maybe that's Darthard Perry's. I don't know. He did have. He said he had some in his military background. What was it? Some policing or something? They alluded to that. I'm not sure if he was saying that, or if that was part of his training in the Black Panther Party. Something. Yeah, that needs to be looked into. But I would like to know more about that. But his statement there, is a warning to people. And I guess if you're not on the inside, you're not really privy to how things are framed by others, how your life is framed, how they approach um, you, the people. Because again, we're talking about the FBI. So they're approaching you from a scientific uh, police perspective. Yeah, man, it's like, and as you can hear, people died and oops, nothing. They know who did it, but hey, the police got a job to do, so don't interfere with that. Where's the justice in that? So it kind of shows you your life doesn't mean anything when you have this kind of stuff going on. Your life is being tampered with every day, and you may not have any clue how. And you think it may be obvious to find out, to see. But trust me, something that looks obvious, it's probably not that. Something that's too easy to explain, is probably not that. Um, you know, Something that you would trust, it could be. So because think about it, they needed this guy. If it was a white guy that walked in there, it wouldn't work. They needed one that was somewhat intellectual because Black Panthers were intellectuals. If you wasn't when you got in there, you were intellectual when you left a few months later because they made you read up on things that, they helped your education, your understanding of the world. You became a human at that point. So, you're not going to just send in a person that's not at some point going to raise in their intellect, and I suppose his intellect rose from being in this position, both with the Black Panther Party, but also in the FBI. And he's sending out a warning to people. And listen to this warning.
Boy.
Are you saying then that too many black folks today are apathetic and laying back in the cup, that you don't see enough resentment to what has gone down?
Definitely, I'm saying that. If I was part of the madness and it makes me ill and it makes me angry, and I can go out here and do what I'm doing now, and these are the people that it was being done to, and they don't even give a damn, then hey, man, what's happening? You tell me, you let me know.
As far back as the 19...
Yeah, but are how many people are really aware? I mean, I think sometimes people, they believe that these organizations are not a factor in their life. Like the idea would be that you believe these organizations only do good, that they only do good, they're only capable of doing good, and if they do wrong, they rein in themselves and prosecute themselves. Is that the case? Or do they do harm sometimes to someone that's doing good in the society, to where they can't replace that good and have no intention of replacing that good? Do they overstep their bounds? Do they make things better or do they make things worse? Who knows? Who's to qualify that? Who's counting? I mean, do you know how many informants there are in the Black community? Yeah. Do you know? And again, I'm not trying to say that. Don't confuse my words with. I'm not saying people should be criminals, or I'm not saying that. I'm just saying in general, it has nothing to do with being a criminal here. The Black Panther Party, they weren't. I mean, to think that they're criminals when they're activists, it wasn't a crime for them to bear arms. Again, they were lured into stealing some guns. That's what this man already admitted. So they set them up. Now people might want to look at that like, yeah, but they wouldn't have done that. But hey, um, if their human and civil rights weren't respected, then is that a crime? Who's the criminal? And when your human and civil rights are not being respected, then what is what is your responsibility? And like, what are you supposed to do? Just lay down and do nothing? No, that's not what you're supposed to do. You see, so yeah, there's a lot of armed resistant movements that aren't called criminals because the world, stage, or even one or two countries, even the US does that every day. They back armed militias to fight against oppressive governments every day of the week. Are they called criminals? No, they're given safe haven and things like that, so yeah. But I think I do think it might be, I don't know if it's deflection. It could be. I don't, but again, I don't see this guy's deflection as being as deep as William O'Neill's. But myself, that's just my personal opinion. But that statement that he just made, I believe that's a very true statement. Like, we seem to be unaware. And keep in mind, it takes people to get things done, but people can be good and bad. People can be imperfect. One person can be not prejudiced one day and the next day triggered and become prejudiced. Any job in the world, the gas attendant can be like that, and an FBI agent can be that way. The leader, just think about that. The president can be that way. The president can be all fair and help everybody one day, and then all of a sudden, for one reason or another, get bad information or even want to, do bad and just make some bad laws that hurt everybody. You see, so you got to start thinking about these things. I'm not saying y'all that's listening, but anybody that comes to this page later and sees this video, anyone who sees this video for the first time, um, you know, need to reframe. I would reframe my thinking. I mean, and I know myself, my thinking wasn't, I was ignorant when I was a young man, totally ignorant of this stuff. My pops knew about all of this stuff. My parents knew about all of this stuff. Um, my mom, my pops, and they knew about all of this stuff, but they didn't tell me about all of this stuff. I had to learn these things myself, take interest myself. And if I had a question, then they would tell me, then they would give me an answer. Then they would say, read this book, or then they would say, have you heard of this? But they wouldn't tell me what to think. You see, but as I started developing my own thinking, which never stops, you know, I changed my view and my understanding of the world. Governments are not perfect, and they never will be, and that's not even the point of government. It's just supposed to be an organization tool, and sometimes it doesn't do right all the time. Sometimes it can do tremendous harm, and when it does that, it's the people that need to be aware and conscious to do something about it, to correct that wrong. You see, and if you got agents out there like this running everywhere, informants running everywhere, and you're not concerned about this behavior, and you can't imagine how they can do harm to your own community, shit, what about if there's agents in the music industry? You know what I'm saying? They slip in there and just like, make it a way to help here and there, harm here and there. Oh, if you do this, we'll be hands off with your $1 billion if you do a little bit of this. and stop doing a little bit of that, you don't know how deep this can go. You don't know. That's the whole point of stamping it out, where you do find it on, at least on your level where you can reach it. Yeah, but let's see here. And also talk about it, look down on it, speak down on it, make it a topic of a focal point. Also, talk down on anybody that uses the techniques of these individuals, informants, and agents. Talk down, speak down, make those kind of actions just from anybody, make those actions bad. Don't celebrate people that commit these acts, the same type of acts. Do not celebrate them. Now, again, I'm not talking about, people that harm the community. There are people out there in the community that are rapists, pedophiles, things like this. Be damned with you. Somebody got to stop you. And in a lot of cases, it's the people in the same community that ain't stopping it. Sometimes there are, sometimes it's not. And if it just so happens that, because of the lack of movement by the people and the feds get your ass, like Yahweh ben Yahweh, you know what I'm saying? Then so be it. But I can imagine a lot of other ways, like you just saw, because the Black Panther parties ain't no Yahweh ben Yahweh. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, they're legitimate movement for the people. They were. You see what I'm saying? I'm talking about the original Black Panther Party, of course. Yeah, so let me continue to play here. And in a little bit, I'm going to drop the link. Let me see. I don't want to play this part. I'm going to skip past this part. Yeah. Here we go. Now we're going to get to this one. Here we go. Because Gil, he does a segue with many other agents, but I'm going to keep it on Darthard Perry. So let's go.
Worked as an informer for the FBI during the 1960s. His name is Darthard Perry, also known as Ed Riggs, also known as Bill Perry, also known as Othello.
How were you paid? The pay was always in cash. Cash, and you would sign a card. It would go like this. A rendezvous or a drop-off point would be picked out either by yourself or the agent. You would meet the agent there. Usually it would be in a vehicle. You get in the vehicle, he would hand you the money. He would tell you first to count the money. He would tell you the amount while you counted it. If the amount was there, he would then bring out a card. On that card would be for the week of such and such. In other words, the week was dated. So-and-so has been paid the amount of. Then you would sign the card, and then the agent would sign the card. The reason for this is that if all of a sudden the IRS became very interested about where you were getting all this extra money from, you could always tell them to go back to the Bureau, and the Bureau would have your cards on file.
Bro, that's exactly right. Buccaneer X, that is exactly right. Shit. Not only that, but the mayor of Washington, D.C. was spied on by the FBI. They spent more money than they spent on any any mayor in the U.S. They spent 7 years, and all they did was catch him using drugs one time, and he came to the place because of the lady. He wanted to get down with the lady, and the lady forced him. She basically said, if you don't do this, you ain't getting none. You saw the tape. And I'm not saying he should have fell for that, but damn, that's called entrapment, bro. They entrapped the man. You see? And she was an informant. And what did they do? Just like Darthard Perry said, all they had to do to get him to do it, it wasn't the money. They just had to put pressure on the right spot. And her pressure was, since she had some conviction or something like that, or some kind of activity they were aware of, they threatened to take her kids. So that's why she did it. You see what I'm saying? So people need to get just try to get the whole picture, try to frame it in a real way, in a realistic way to your life today. What's happened in our lifetime, how it really works. You see, it's a lot of trickery going on here, layers of it, so you may not see it. It may not seem so obvious. And again, I'm telling you, what might the things that are too easy may not be the things at all. Because of course, the trickery means it has to go under those things. It can't be so blatantly obvious. It's got to be less blatantly obvious to work. You see, so I mean, yeah, but yeah, there it is.
I see. Were there such things as bonuses?
Oh, yes.
What were they paid for?
Bonuses were paid for, suppose while you were meeting with, or you were at a meeting with Bobby Seals, Chulai of the Red Army happened to come to the meeting too, which is something which would be a new development. That's bonus time.
In other words, a hot piece of information.
Hot piece, very hot piece.
Did you ever suffer pangs of conscience?
Quite a few times. Quite a few times. I still suffer pangs of conscience. I suffer from the fact that a lot of people trusted me and I misused that trust. I suffer from the fact that a lot of information that I gave out was the undoing of certain groups or certain people. I suffer from the fact that I'm on the run constantly. I have no real life to speak of.
You have no family life, really? You have a wife?
No, I don't have a wife. I do have a child. I can't see her that often. I have to stay away from them because once I come around, the Bureau shows up and harassment starts. I have very few close personal friends, no one to really confide in. It's like being on the outside of a glass jar and everything is happening inside the jar, but you're on the outside. You can see it happening, but you can't participate.
Why have you decided to talk to me?
For the simple reason, I think this information should be getting out, should be put out to the public. I think not only Black people, but everyone should become aware of what your so-called law enforcement agencies do to so-called enforce the law. Because between you, myself, and the audience, I've seen more felons in law enforcement than I have in prison.
Many would say, well, look, you yourself just got through saying that the DLA was involved in criminal activity. What's wrong with wanting to put them in prison? How would you answer them?
I would answer them this way. First off, we have to understand why they did what they did. But I'm not even gonna go off into that psychological hoo-ha. What I'm gonna say is when you become just as bad as the people that you go after, then there's nothing gained and a whole lot lost.
You also were active in the infiltration of many cultural groups. Before we go into that step by step, how much research and study did the FBI engage in of Black culture in the late 60s?
A great amount.
Give me an idea.
From the thing is, I can. They have a file on every type of magazine that Blacks read. They have a file on the music, dance, theater, actors, comedians, you name it, man.
And they would actually study these different...
Yes. Oh, yes, definitely.
What would they do with music?
To understand the people, you have to understand the culture. to infiltrate, you have to understand. You had a lot of so-called white liberals that were infiltrating the so-called black groups using the information that they had gathered from the studies of blacks.
You mean just to understand the behavior pattern of our people?
Oh yeah, I can, Will Heaton could name out some jams of Miles Davis that I hadn't even heard of. He could name off some books that I hadn't even read pertaining to black culture.
Do you ever see agents actually studying the music of?
Yes. I've seen them going over even video portion of cultural events.
So that's exactly what's going on right now, Norma. That's exactly their strongest tool. You know, the Russians' strongest tool is not their weapons. They could never survive a weapons war. They would be decimated if they went to physical warfare with the U.S. I mean, but covert warfare, they're highly successful in it. Obviously, you can see that the last since 9/11, you could say, and it's people that don't believe. Some people don't believe Russia had anything to do with that. I'm not one of those people. I think somebody had to have a great deal of logistical help to make something like that happen. I'm talking about inside information, and I don't believe, Bush and Cheney did it. You know what I'm saying? I believe that's even Russian disinformation for some strange reason. But there was a lot of people went down for spying on the U.S. government too. Now, for providing a lot of insider information, around that time. So, and after, you see what I mean? So, but yeah, it's for thinking minds, people that want to think about it.
The understanding, like you have an organization like Leroy Jones Black House. You remember that? Okay, Leroy Jones's place, which was done on the thing of tribalism.
Yeah, that's what they say. That's what people say, Norma. But I go where the money is. I believe if you got the money, you got the science basically, and it's very clear. The U.S. government definitely has the money, and I don't think it's their business to be telling people what they got. That's part of the warfare. You would never let people know what you have, and that's why you don't want to engage directly, because if you do engage directly, you have to show your hand, at least part of it. And why show it when you can get other people to fight, right? Then you don't have to show what you got. You can just give them lesser powerful weapons. That's happening every day. But I believe it's two governments. I believe they know what the Russia's got, man. Russia's got spies from China. Spies know what Russia got. U.S. government, NATO spies know what Russia got, I believe. And I don't believe they will withstand it. I believe it would be instant. And I think Russians know that. But I think they also know their strongest weapon is disinformation. Also knowing groups, involving themselves in groups that, like look what's going on in Mali, for example. They were unhappy with the French. They followed the trends of Mali. So then they slip in at the right time and support Mali, Burkina Faso, all of them, right? Because that's a good move to do. The political trends in the U.S. Look at how many Americans are frustrated. Look at where the divides are. Who's exacerbating those divides? It's a lot of Russian disinformation, bro. I mean, do you know how much Russian disinformation came about after 9/11? It was almost instant. You got all kinds of stories. Now, it's clear that no government is probably going to want you to know how they failed to protect their own people. So you could expect that, and you could also expect that. I put it to you like this. If an enemy got at you, would you want to tell people how they got at you? And would you even want the enemy knowing that you know who it was? Because once they know that you know who it was, then they're going to be defending themselves like they know you know. And if you don't ever say you know, they may not know if you really know, you know. So I think it's some high level shit going on, but it's just my opinion though, bro. So but let's let the rest of this play, and then I'm gonna drop the link again. So for anybody who want to hop up, you know, we can.
That's where I first heard the word kintu, mantu, hantu, hentu. These words of the African continuum. I learned that from an agent. He ran it down to me. They make in-depth studies of the personalities of the people they're dealing with too. Culturally, it always helps it's the thing of you can take their culture and use it against them.
How large would you say an extensive collection on our culture would you say the FBI has? Would you rate it as large as a particular library, like the Schomburg Library in Harlem? Or...
I would rate it better. And the fact is that they go into details that we probably would overlook. Will Heaton used to meet me in different places. You know, Will Heaton, that was one of my supervising agents. There is a certain bar in the Los Angeles area where people into Black cultural things met, and Will Heaton used to meet me there. And he would go into very long and tiring conversations with some very articulate brothers about culture, African culture, and Afro-American culture.
Tell me about some of the cultural organizations that you infiltrated and what you did.
PASLA, Mafunde, Watts Writers Workshop, which they had.
The Watts Writers Workshop?
Yes. Watts Writers Workshop, which was one of the oldest established Black writers workshop.
That place was burned down.
Yeah. The Bureau had it burnt down.
How do you know that?
I know because I participated. I did the arson.
You burned down the Watts Writers?
Yes.
Why did they want it to go?
At the time, funding had been cut to the workshop, had been cut out, but it looked like there was a possibility of a grant being given back to the workshop. And if there was no theater, there would be no grant.
How did you do it?
2 cans of kerosene, Purex bottle, gasoline, and a flare, highway flare.
Why didn't you use more sophisticated stuff?
Oh, no. You're never overly sophisticated. It's too obvious. This way you make it look like, maybe somebody in the neighborhood that got kicked out of theater at one time got mad and came and burned the damn theater up, that kind of thing.
But you were involved in this theater? I mean, did it get to you at all what you were?
Hey, man, that got to me a great deal. I love that theater. I built the stage.
You built the stage?
Oh, yeah. When I got to the workshop, the stage that had been, the original stage that had been built needed an extension on it. The original part of the stage was in terrible condition. They had no lighting system. I put the lighting system in myself. I put the stage in myself. And that was a stage, man. And that was a theater. It's a nice theater.
Who was the director of that workshop?
Harry Dolan.
Harry Dolan. Some very, very well-known artists supported that workgave money to it.
Some very well-known artists came out of the Watts Writers Workshop. Glenn Tubman, Yaphet Kotto. Sidney Poitier used to come down there and give a class. Sammy Davis Jr. used to come down there all the time. Quincy Jones used to come there and give music classes. We had our own 8-track studio setup for sound. We had our own sound room there.
Was part of your other activities and responsibilities to study the profiles of celebrities who were supportive of organizations?
Definitely, and especially, like I said, psychological backgrounds, weaknesses, and strengths. Did he have a weakness for blondes? Did he have a weakness for money? Did he snort cocaine? Uh, did he smoke marijuana? Uh, they even get into, oh, and that's one thing the Bureau loves is their sexual background. They have files and files on different blacks, not only celebrities, but a lot of others, sexual activity.
What would they do with this information?
Oh, that's used as a weakness.
So they would feed these weaknesses.
Yes.
Did you see that happen?
Oh, yes. Doc
Think about that.
Holiday,
Feed
even physical backgrounds, weaknesses, and then
supportive. The profiles of celebrities who were supportive of organizations.
definitely, and especially, like I said, psychological backgrounds, weaknesses, and strengths. Did he have a weakness for blondes? Did he have a weakness for money? Did he snort cocaine? Did he smoke marijuana? They even get into, oh, and that's one thing the Bureau loves is their sexual background. They have files and files on different blacks, not only celebrities, but a lot of others, sexual activity.
What would they do with this information?
Oh, that's used as a weakness.
So they would feed these weaknesses.
Yes.
Did you see that happen?
Oh, yes. Doc Holiday, who is one of the leaders of the BGF, Black Gorilla Family, which is a prison gang in the California state prison system. Upon his release from prison, a certain sister made herself known to him at a nightclub, whereupon he moved in with her, and she picked up names, telephone numbers, information, that kind of thing. That lasted for a good 3.5 months.
Was this an unusual thing, or did this happen often?
No, that happens all the time.
Did you yourself get involved in doing that?
Yes.
Give me an example.
There was a gentleman that was on trial in Los Angeles that belonged to the BLA that had been busted in a southern state for a bank robbery, but was brought with 2 other people to Los Angeles to stand trial for the machine gunning of a police officer in Los Angeles. I was supposed to worm my way into the affections of his sister and whatever it took to get the information that I needed as far as what kind of defense they planned to use as to turn this information over to the federal prosecution.
Did you do it?
I got the information, and thank God I didn't have to go through with the actual thing of sexual activity.
What do you mean, thank God?
The sister was rather unappealing.
How did you justify to the organizations in which you had infiltrated yourself that you were living on an $800 a week stipend or on an $800 a week standard of living when most of them were living hand to mouth?
Well, hey, brother, I'm hustling, I mean, hey, man, so a little this on the side, a little that on the side, I get over, that kind of thing. In other words, ain't nobody's business but mine where I get the money. So, everybody took it for granted that I was possibly doing a little dealing on the side, that kind of thing. Then also, everybody liked me for the simple reason that I would do things that I didn't have to do. I would go out of my way. Like Mafunde would have a pageant and they needed someone to do the sound setup for him. And I'd say, of course, I'll do it for you, that kind of thing. I was very well liked at one time in the community.
Would you say to American citizens that this situation of surveillance and infiltration continues to this day?
Oh, yes.
On the dimension that you experienced?
Probably much larger by now.
Larger?
Oh, yeah. Uh, let me put it to you like this. Each year, everything gradually escalated up more and more. So I figure when I left, it didn't stop escalating. As they say, one monkey does not stop anybody's show.
You mentioned Sammy Davis Jr., who at one time, it was reported, gave money to the Black Panther Party, I believe. Were you ever assigned to look into that?
Yes, I was told.
Yeah, it's something there because he's got to lie, his facial cover up, his body language when he's around these people. He's got to be a complete liar, and he's got to be thinking of accomplishing the exact something totally different from what he's even speaking on. I mean, a psychopath would do that very naturally, but to me, this guy doesn't look like it because he's sweating. He's like, I don't know if he would be a psychopath, but I hear what you're saying. You know what I mean? A psychopath is a person that does this for generally, period, all the time. They can't help it. That's who they are. They're going to do this to everybody, everyone, pretty much, right? But I mean, this guy was doing it for money. He was under threat of being locked up. But to me, his body language doesn't look comfortable. But he is speaking about it it does sound like it's nonchalant, and yeah, I think there's some dismissiveness there, maybe, or yeah, a little bit of denial. Like he said that he have a whole lot of regret for what he did. That's what he says. Um, but the question would be, I mean, what's the limit on that? Like, you have all this regret, okay, but how far does it reach? You know, because what you did was the ultimate act. I mean, again, he wasn't paid to go after drug dealers. He wasn't paid to go after pedophiles and rapists. No, that's not what he was paid to go after. He wasn't paid to go after scammers. He was paid to go after human rights activists. I mean, that is the biggest betrayal. So, yeah, I think there's something wrong. There's a little disconnect there with him. And he died poor. I mean, I'm not trying to give a judgment. I'm just of him personally. I'm just assessing it, what it looks like to me. Like, to me, it looks like he's being pretty honest. But when talking about these things and to keep yourself alive, I mean, there has to be some degree of disconnect or dismissiveness or something you have to tell yourself to keep you alive, man, because this is the worst type of betrayal. He have to convince himself that he's doing some good. He can make some good of it now to keep himself from killing himself, bro. So maybe this is his attempt to do right. I don't know. But like you said, man, whatever it is, bro, it was wrong. What he did was wrong. And all I could say is at least you get to hear it from his ass. At least he gave people that part. And he's warning people that there's many more and that there will always be, and that there's way more than what people think, many more, and that the Black community is particularly plagued with this.
To try to get as close to Mr. Davis or to anyone in his office as I could. I used to go up and have real chit-chat, chummy conversations with his personal secretary, Ann, at the 9000 building on Sunset. And I used to bring a Porter-Pack video camera, and I used to go around and I would videotape the whole office.
Oh, sorry, B. Buccaneer. This is the second interview now. So maybe he's a little calmer than the first one too. You know what I'm saying? So you could be right about that. He might seem a little calmer in this one.
You mean celebrities would be coming into his office and you'd film them freely?
Oh, yeah.
Didn't they question that?
I'm from the Ross Writers Workshop. Yeah, right on, brother. You know, that kind of thing. No questions asked. Same thing with the NAACP Image Awards. You know, they were very interested in people like Sammy Davis Jr. There was another black in Los Angeles that they were very interested in because, not Los Angeles, but in Sacramento, Nathaniel Colley, who's attorney for the NAACP. And I know Nat. And they wanted information on him, just for the simple reason that he's an attorney for the NAACP, which makes no sense to me, but must make a lot of sense to them because they use the information.
You've been called upon to testify in Washington. Before who?
Before the Senate committee. I was called first to testify before the church committee. And I did go to Washington, D.C. I did testify to those people. And I want to say right now that the committee was full of smack. They got loads and loads of information, didn't even use it, didn't release it. I had tapes that I offered to them in evidence against the Federal Bureau of Investigation with conversations of me and my supervising officer where he's telling me to obtain certain articles for him by stealing. Don't get fingerprints on it. We can really use that. Did you take the weapons over to such and such? The church's committee told me that they couldn't use the tapes because the tapes were gotten by illegal means.
Exactly. And there's people out here dissing the NAACP. Listen, just to keep it real, nobody should be speaking negatively about any of these people that were attacked, or groups or organizations that were attacked, because they were attacked for doing something right. Obviously, they were seen as a threat. So they had to be doing something right, at least on the most basic level, and there was many. That's why you would never hear me saying things derogatory about any of these people that back then. I don't speak that way about them because but I'm not saying don't criticize. I criticize all the time, but I do it in a respectful way. That's all, because look, the NAACP was a threat to these people too, bro. I mean, listen, anybody doing something on a basic level was a threat, and their life was at risk. They could die, and many did. You know what I'm saying? Exactly, man. Come on, but that's why I don't understand some people, man. But let's just let it play. Come on.
What would you say about the composition of the committee panel that questioned you?
I can say that's for the birds too, because the same people that I was talking about were the same people on the panel with the church's committee.
What do you mean?
When I came in the room to be interviewed by the so-called people from the church's committee, the representatives from the Federal Bureau of Investigations were also in the room.
FBI agents were a member of the church committee panel.
They were there with the investigators for the church's committee asking questions just like the church's committee. And see, this is another thing that I find fault with, and this is another reason why I am not going to Washington, D.C., is that, again, I have been asked to come again for the second time. I'm not going again, for the simple reason that when I went up there with the idea that there were agencies investigating the Federal Bureau of Investigation, not the Federal Bureau of Investigation investigating itself.
You're on the lam, almost. Do you have a sense that you're going to be arrested and go to prison?
Oh, yeah, eventually. Eventually, when things come to a head, it has to. It has to be that way. No other way around it.
What would you say to citizens who sit and listen to what you've said and have a sense of frustration and helplessness?
There are some agents, the old line agents, that disagree with the tactics that were used during the so-called COINTEL period. But one thing I don't want us to jump off of is that people always...
in the first interview, which we played, He gave a different outcome for himself. He thought, I don't know, but if this is what he meant, I thought he said earlier that he didn't think he would be prosecuted because they would want to deny that they had association. They're so afraid of just anything that he could say that they wouldn't be able to prosecute him, and that they would ultimately, stand away from that. But here he's saying that he thinks it will end that way. So that's interesting.
To citizens who sit and listen to what you've said and have a sense of frustration and helplessness.
There are some agents, the old line agents, that disagree with the tactics that were used during the so-called COINTEL period. But one thing I don't want us to jump off of is that people always they're talking about COINTEL now so heavily. I'm not talking about COINTEL. I'm talking about a thing called BD, which was better known as Black Death. The Black Death was set up for a simple thing of infiltrating black organizations and black groups, whatever.
Where was this Black Desk, or were there a number of them?
There were a number of Black Desks, but the head Black Desk was in Washington, D.C., controlled by Sullivan.
Was he black?
No.
Mm-hmm. And what was the function of the Black Desks all over the country? I guess there were dozens.
The function of the Black Desk was to monitor activity, social unrest, revolutionary groups, cultural groups, and such in the black community.
And feed it into this central desk.
And
it still exists?
As far as I know, yes.
We've seen a number of investigations into the assassination of Martin Luther King. We've seen an extended police trial of the assassination of Malcolm X. What you seem to say substantiates what many black people say out on the street, that government agents or agencies knew that these assassinations were brewing and either participated in them or allowed them to take place.
It would behoove black people, it would behoove all people, really, to question so-called the cut and dry one lone assassin theory. The Bureau and other intelligence agencies are very good at conspiracies. They're very good at setting people up to be killed. They are very good at making innuendos so the person will be killed.
City police don't know about because they have policemen in there. They don't let black people form anything without some policemen in there. And while I was in the Black Muslim movement, many of the police who were sent to infiltrate us, they're black, would tell me, say, look, I'm a cop, but I have to come. They would tell me. I knew the Muslim movement was full of police. So don't you think anything is going down that they don't know about? The only thing that goes down is what they want to go down. And what they don't want to go down, they don't let it go down.
Something else was used against the students that drove the final nails into the coffin, killing the movement.
Okay, I'm gonna stop it right there. Let me drop the link. If anybody want to hop up, feel free to give some commentary on this. I'm gonna give it a couple minutes and see who hops up. And if nobody wants to hop up, that's cool. We just keep it pushing. Yeah, but this was it's riveting watching these guys. I think it's well, you know what? I'm going to cover a woman. I found out there was a woman agent or out there too, right? She's well known apparently, and there's many others, but I just wanted to do this one reaction to this guy, right? I didn't do a reaction to William O'Neill yet, but I'm gonna do a reaction to a few of these because first of all, my thing is like this. If you're educated and knowledgeable about what harms your community, harms your foundation, hurt your generation, all of these things, then don't use the tactics of the people that did those things. Do the opposite. You see what I mean? So if I don't like you, I'm not going to use the tactics of the FBI on you. If I don't like you, I'm not going to do this innuendo game just because I don't like you, or or even just even less disagree with you. Nah, I just block you and keep it pushing, or step off and don't come back. Period. But I'm not going to play the other game. Um, and you see a lot of this out here today. People get it twisted, and at one point, this kind of snitching thing goes along with that too. It's not disconnected from this. It's also connected to this agent thing, because regardless of whether you like it or not, the dislike for snitching that you hear in regarding drugs and things like that, and it's not a thing today, but in the past, in the 80s, 90s, that was a big thing, and now it's still a big thing, but you don't see so many people upholding this thing anymore, but it was passed down from the generation before, so anybody that's black kind of understands that the snitching thing is not necessarily what's going to make your community stronger or going to help your community. Not necessarily. Now, again, I'm not saying, I'm not trying to say that, you know, um, police and criminal and, FBI or whatever shouldn't do their work on people that are harming the communities, and things like that. But I'm just talking about the principle of it. At some point, you have to ask, are black people over policed? Are black people tampered with more than other people? I mean, who do the FBI work for? You know what I'm saying? Like, because, yeah. And I think you might have to ask that in any country. Their secret police, who do they work for? Do they favor some groups against the other? What are they doing out here? And, but even just when you're talking about everyday life, normal citizens, civilians, regular folk, don't use these tactics just because you dislike somebody. That is a ridiculous thing. Because you don't agree with somebody. I mean, and at some point, when you see somebody persistent in this, you might have to ask yourself, why are they? You might really have to stop and ask yourself, why is that? Because I dislike a lot of people, but I might, I would like to deal with those kind of things differently. Um, like, for example, I would prefer to show up, like face to face, to be honest with you. I know that could be dangerous at sometimes. Sometimes people are packing, right? Sometimes people want to do any, they might be packing, they might blast off. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes they might not be. Uh, but, I would prefer to solve that kind of situation by, meeting the person, you know, um, because, doing all this telephone stuff and all this live internet bullshit, it doesn't work in solving problems, especially with, type of problems that you got to solve face to face. Sometimes people don't feel you until they meet you face to face, and then they see what they're dealing with. You see what I mean? And a lot of times that solves problems just like that. Also, when you get to look somebody straight in their eyes when you're talking to them, a lot of times that's better. Also, when a person knows that you're just going to come to them like a man or a woman, you could resolve a lot of issues that way. You don't need to go to the lengths of because you don't know who the next person is. You don't know what their life story is. You don't know all of those things. But all you need is to be able to agree to disagree, agree to leave each other alone, leave to let them live, let them have theirs. You see what I mean? And a lot of times you just got to be able to do that. You know what I mean? That's a good thing. You know what I mean? That's actually a good thing. Um, there's rules to how people need to operate. And when you out here using these kind of tactics like this man was talking about, um, those rules are no good for nobody, no social group, no, they're just not good, man. You have to know you're not going to get anywhere, man. Every group got their criminals, every group got their scammers, every group has their, um, you know, anything, but there has to be limits. There has to be limits. And when I was growing up, the limit was, A, leave the kids out of it. Leave children out of it. Leave them out. Um, the other thing was, the question might be, what's a kid? What age? You know what I'm saying? But definitely you do not sell a kid drugs. You see what I'm saying? Um, and you need to be, um, making sure that when you're doing something, you're not disturbing everybody else in the community. Things like this. Um, when you have different groups of people in your community, y'all might have disagreement. Let let's have disagreement, but respect. You got to respect that. You got to respect them anyway, because they can respect you. Let them live. You see what I'm saying? So I grew up in a community where you might have some people might be members of the Nation of Islam. Some people might be not. Some people might be members of SNCC. Some people might be members of the Black Guerrilla family. Some people might be uh, members of the Black Guerrilla Army. Some people might be members of all different kinds of fractions and things. But you have to let them live. If you disagree, you got to learn how to disagree through communication, respectful communication. Even you might want to borrow them some sugar sometimes if they ain't got some, just to keep the respect there. Let it be known that the respect is still there. So yeah, man. Uh, every community has different members of civil society, and yeah, you know we need to take a look at how we deal with our problems, because if we are planning on just having no rules, we're not going to get nowhere fast, and you're going to continue to see other people go somewhere way fast. And what you want to be, the one complaining about other people getting somewhere fast, or you want to be part of the group of the people that have some rules and get somewhere fast? Only you can choose that for yourself. You know, nobody can choose that for you, and nobody, including myself, can force it on you. You know what I'm saying? No one can force it on you. That has to be your total freedom, your total choice, which one you want to have. So on that note, I'm out, y'all. I hope y'all enjoyed today. I just wanted to do a little bit just to say what's up. Um, I appreciate everybody that came through. I know the time changed, and I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry about that. Yeah, Donnie, appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. Yeah, Donnie's a member. By the way, anybody that wants to be a member, I think it's like $3 a month, $2.99 a month, something like that. It helps support some things that I'm working on right now that y'all don't see me talking about. It's some things I'll be releasing out here later. Yeah, B Buccaneer, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, indeed. And you everybody that comes over here have some insightful feedback. And we, the thing I like is that we're allowed to discuss the things. And yeah, and when we get somewhere divinely inspired. What's up, brother? Yeah, thank you for coming out. Norma X, appreciate you also. We got to have a conversation about what we were discussing here, and that's that Russia, US, China, this impending war. We need to do that discussion. Yeah, I don't know it's summer's coming up. I don't know what y'all schedule is like. That's the hard thing about doing these lives. Um, Andrea, always. Andrea is also a member. Donnie's a member. Let me go see who else is a member. Um, Let me check and see. Let me go over here. I'm gonna pull this down for a second. Oh no, I don't have to pull it down. I just go like this. Go over to the members area. Now let me see. Channels. Boom. Let me see. Doesn't it say membership? How do I see who's a member? Doesn't it show y'all who's a member? I don't even know how to see. Community. Manage videos. Well, it's got to be Donnie, Andrea. Let me think about this. Ralph. Ralph didn't make it today. I guess he's busy. And maybe one other people. So, but if you want to be members, that's what it costs. It's like $2.99 a month. Anybody can be a member. You don't have to join the panel. You don't have to even leave a comment. You can just support if you like the content. It's similar to subscribing. The only other thing is that it allows me to spend a little time working on some other things that you don't see right now, but it's the my upcoming documentary. It's called Hometown DC, and it's going to be a banger. And it's not something I just threw out. I'm throwing out there fast and put together in a shabby way. No, it's something that I'm very proud of. I'm lucky to have many of the people that contributed to it. And, so it's being put together beautifully. And if y'all want to check the trailer, let me go down to here. Here's the trailer right here. Let me see. I'm going to drop it. Is this the right trailer? Yeah. Here's the trailer. I'm going to drop the trailer. Y'all can peep it. I'm going to drop this in the chat here. Here we go. Let me see. This is the first trailer. And then I got a second one coming out right before the release. I'm going to release a version of it on YouTube, and then the official one through Amazon. So y'all can check it out when you feel like it. Oh, did I put it out? Where is it at? Oh, you're welcome. You're welcome. Let me see. Divinely inspired. Yeah. Peace, chat. Peace, everybody. Let's see here. Thank you for your work, VP. Yeah, I'll join the discussion. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's a good discussion to have. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So there you have it, folks. I appreciate everybody. Thanks for coming out, and I'm gonna see y'all soon. I might go live later on this Sunday. Yeah. We see how it goes. I'm just keeping it on the low, trying to get over this little bug. But yeah, otherwise I'm good, y'all. Peace, everybody. One.